What's up, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you guys. Welcome to the daily live stream, guys. Got some clips to get into. My bad about yesterday, guys. I know some of you were like, yo, what's up? You weren't on yesterday. I wasn't on yesterday. Because yesterday was a day that my wife asked me to not be on because we had things to do. So, gotta respect the wifey's wishes and commands. So that's what it was. My bad. You guys know I'm on here every single day. Usually except Sunday, right? So usually always one day a week. So maybe we'll call yesterday my one day a week. We'll see how it goes. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to everybody out there and everyone watching. Shout out to you guys. Spend time with the family. Tell your loved ones that you love them. Also keep in mind that you might be around family members that you haven't seen in a while. So triggers, they're going to be a real thing, right? So make sure that you prepare yourself for, ignorant Uncle Joe or annoying Aunt Sally. You guys know the drill. You know how it works on Thanksgiving. But other than that, be with the family. Tell your family, your friends, you love them. I do that on purpose every single day, but during Thanksgiving, I'm very intentional with telling the people in my life who are important to me that I'm thankful for them. So you guys take the time out to do that. We got all the things that we're going to be reacting to today. Let's take a look at a couple. Let's see, first up here, we got Drowning in Our Thoughts. We're going to listen to that. We always start the live stream with a pastor or Christian clip. CNN discovers exorcism inquiries are on the rise. I was like, that's interesting. CNN. We got Cash Patel. Pete Hegseth's a little drunk. Some necromancy. Let's see. The Slender Man stabber. Jasmine Crockett talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. And lo and behold, the thumbnail. A problem with Roblox. Like a big problem. Like pedophiles are on there. Pedos are like controlling Roblox on there, hunting for children. Like, dude, I couldn't even believe what I was listening to last night. My wife was playing it for me. It's on a podcast that we often watch, Sean Ryan's podcast. So I was like, what is happening? So we're going to jump into a couple of the news clips. You guys make sure that you say what's up in the chat. You hit that like button. You say good morning. You guys know the standard way it goes, right? Be respectful in the chat. That's all I ask. You will not get banned off of here or censorship. The only thing that will get you banned is disrespecting moderators, disrespecting subscribers, disrespecting supporters. If you're not doing any of those things, you're good. I don't believe in censorship. I hate censorship, so I won't censor you guys in the chat. But my AI mod might, depending on what you say, usually derogatory things they're going to censor. So if you jump in the chat and you're like nigger or you're like F Trump, it's probably going to just block you. I'm going to just tell you right now. If you're spamming the chat, like if you guys are writing long paragraphs and you guys are writing long messages, it's going to block you. So those are usually the general standard rules around here. You guys see it happen every single day we go live. So let's jump into some of the live stream clips. Welcome to the live stream, guys. I am your host, Kieran Smith. Call me Q. What is up? Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. All right, so we're going to jump into the first clip. We always start the live stream with a Christian clip. So we will start with the Christian clip, and then we will go into the news clips that we have. So let's jump right in.
Hear me, family, because king discernment, that's sharp, king discernment and mental clutter can't exist in the same mind. Can I get all of us to say this? It's feeling a little heavy, which lets me know the Holy Spirit has directed me to try to tackle something that has a lot of people in bondage. Can I get all of us to say this, and everybody watching online, can you put this in the room for me in all caps? Can I get us to say, Father, heal, detox, and cleanse my mind so my thoughts won't distort my discernment. Renew my mind in Jesus' name. Let's say it again. Let's put our hand on our mind. Everybody say, Father, heal, detox, and cleanse my mind so my thoughts won't distort my discernment. Renew my mind in Jesus' name. Now let's all be transparent. Just find two people around you and tell them, I need to clear my head. I need to clear I need to clear my head. This is prophetic for somebody. I need to clear my head. You two watching online, put in the chat, I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. The way I'm seeing people is not healthy. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. I keep allowing my thoughts to vandalize my joy. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. I keep on allowing my thoughts to vandalize my peace. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. I keep on allowing my thoughts to talk me out of what the word of God has talked me into. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. I keep on rehearsing who hurt me. There it is. I keep on rehearsing who hurt me. So I can't see all of the healthy kingdom people God is sending because I keep on meditating. Y'all ain't hearing me, family. I want to help somebody on today. I want to help somebody. I keep rehearsing who hurt me. So I can't see all of the kingdom and healthy people that God is sending because I keep meditating on scenes from people he didn't. I need to clear my head. I need to clear my head. Hear me, church family. Your perspective is shaped by the algorithm of your meditations. Your perspective is shaped by the algorithm of your meditations, meaning whatever you keep searching, whatever you keep on reviewing will show up in your mental feed and your brain feeds on it. I need to clear my mind. I need to clear my mind because when you don't see right, you'll define wrong. Man, I'm just experiencing a bad season. No, you're experiencing bad weather. See? In fact, the weather gets the most violent when seasons are changing. When you can't see right, you're the fire on. Do you have Bible to corroborate your claim? Yes, I do. David's brothers saw him as their little brother and a shepherd boy. David's daddy saw him as the youngest and a shepherd boy. God saw him as a king. Let's let him do the defining. Because the Lord defines right.
Now, I think Pastor, for those of you guys who aren't familiar with who this is Pastor Jerry Flowers. So you guys can go to his channel, Jerry Flowers Jr. I believe if you type that in, he'll come up. He's making an excellent point here because he's talking about freeing our mind. And I thought this was a fitting sermon to play simply because it's more like a sermonette. Simply because the holidays stress people out. Now, here's the thing. I'm a big advocate for mental health, wellness, right? I've had a therapist for the better of a decade. So when I sit down and I think about how much mental health means to me, I think to myself at one point before therapy, everything was just kind of going with the flow. It was normal to be around toxic family members. If I hadn't seen you for a while, but I kind of knew like you were one of the most annoying people in the family, I just kind of braced myself for what I was about to deal with. After dealing with therapy and figuring out how expensive having a clear mental space is, I won't even put myself in certain spaces or places anymore. Sometimes it might seem like to other people I'm not willing to go to certain functions or I'm standoffish. No, it's not that. It's just that my mental health is very expensive to me. It matters, me being grounded, me being regulated, me not being annoyed. Now, some people out there might say, well, you make a choice if you're like that. Well, of course you do. That's the mature thing to do. But you just had certain people that they just wake up and they just want to be ridiculous. They want to be annoying. They want to figure out how to make your life miserable. They have nothing going for themselves. Those are the people in particular. And then you put the holidays on top of that. It's like it's magnified. It's magnified. So I think Pastor Jerry Flowers is making a great point when he talks about freeing our mind and using the Holy Spirit to do that and asking the Lord for help so that we don't put certain judgments towards people just because we're stressed out and we're frustrated.
I need to clear my head. Mind cleansing, a mind detox, and mind renewal is a requirement for a transformed life. Please, church family, please hear me. You don't get a transformed life without Christ and confronting this. You don't get a transformed heart. You might have behavior modification, meaning you know the person to put on when you're in church, and you also know the person to put on when you were in the club last night. You know the person to put on when you're serving, and you know the person to put on when your boyfriend comes over. You know the person to put on. You might have behavior modification. I'm not talking about that. Heart transformation. It requires Christ and confronting this. You don't get transformed feet, meaning the paths you take. You don't get transformed feet without Christ confronting this. Which is why Romans chapter 12, we're going to exegete this now. Romans chapter 12, verse 2 told us, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Why? That by testing you may discern. That by testing you may discern. That by testing you may discern. I'm stopping right here. We don't even need to finish the verse yet, because this right here is problematic for many of us. There are two problems right here when the text tells us by testing so that you may discern. The first problem with this is you can't test and discern if you've already decided. I am. You can't. What else do you think scripture says in Matthew chapter 6? Seek ye first. See, we make the decision first, seek second, and wonder why God's hand is not on it. It's about to get real up in here for about the next 8 minutes. You can't, y'all don't even know. You cannot test and discern if you've already decided. Most people aren't humble enough to test what they've already decided that they're going to do. You've already booked the hotel.
Now, Pastor Jerry Flowers, he's getting personal here, but he's making a great point. You've already booked the hotel. What does he mean by that? Probably someone who's about to experience a night with someone that they're going to regret later on. Let's put it like that. You didn't seek God first, right? Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom, right? This is seek first what God would have you do. Seek first what God's opinion is about what you're about to do, right? And some people might say, I've sat with people and they've said, well, when I'm seeking God first, what exactly am I seeking him first in? Like, what kind of things should I be asking him? And I say all kinds of things, right? Seek him first before you date somebody. Seek him first before you have a conversation. Seek him first before you go into a meeting with your boss. Seek him first before you decide to marry the person that you're thinking about marrying. All of these types of things, he's saying seek God first, because if you've already made a decision, you can't be discerning about anything because you've already said in your own heart, I'm going to do this thing. Like, I'm going to do this thing, Lord. So just be with me and just bless it. And you know my heart. But it's like, no, seek God first before you make those decisions. All right, guys. So we're going to listen to just a little bit more of this, and then we're going to jump into the news.
You've already laid down the earnest money. You've already signed the business contract. You've already emailed back the DocuSign. You've already booked the cruise with Shorty, who's a baddie. Let me explain. Baddie is a millennial and Gen Z terminology, which means a very, very attractive woman. Okay. So I know baby boomers and people in the Philippines like, what is a baddie? What the? Ladies, and don't y'all amen too much, because you've already purchased the undergarments to make sure that the bra and panties match just in case something goes down. But you were snotting and crying in small group talking about, Lord, help me be sexually pure. But you've already planned for it. Come here, brothers, let me talk to you. You already have plans of what you're going to do in Montego Bay with your girl. You already plan to share and sleep in the same room with her. You already have plans. You're leading her into sin, but then you want to come and play an instrument and tell people how much you love the Lord and put how much of a godly man you are. Just what if? What if you were to look at your vacation plans and test it with Romans chapter 13, verse 14? Test it when the text says, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no provisions for the flesh to gratify its desires. Test it. What if you were to look at what you plan on doing for Memorial Day weekend and you tested it with Ephesians chapter 5, verse 3? But among you there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality. Well, we don't do that. Okay, or of any kind of impurity or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. You won't test if you should apologize if you already think you're right. See? You won't test and see if this offer was a trap if you love money. You won't test and see if this is a godly man or a godly woman if you already married them in your head.
Yep. And there it is. He makes the point right there. If you've already done it in your head. That's why I said Matthew 6:33. It's important to seek God first. Submit everything that you're going to do to the Lord first. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how small it is. Definitely how big it is. But submit everything. And sometimes we don't do that. Sometimes we make things up in our mind and we think that the Lord is going to okay with it, going to say okay to it. The Lord's going to bless it. But we have not consulted him yet. We have not submitted it to him, sat at his feet and said, Lord, is this what you see for me? Is this what you want for me? Is this the next direction my life is going in? I think we don't do that because if the Lord says no, some of us are literally going to lose our mind. Like there are some things that we didn't consult with the Lord first and we're already in it, having it, doing it, whatever. And we want it so bad. And God's going to tell us to walk away from it or to leave it alone or to step away from it. But because we're fearful of hearing that, one, that's partially why we don't hear it from him. And also because we're not going to directly ask something that we're afraid to hear or no, right? And then it's just, you've already made your mind up. You've already made your mind up that this is good for you, that this is what you want, that this is what you're going to do. And at that point, you haven't submitted it to God. So now you have to maintain it. And then it's so heartbreaking when we lose it, as if God did something on purpose to hurt us, when in reality, we never said, Lord, is this what's next for me? Is this what you want? Is this what's in your will for me? So let's listen a little further and then we'll jump into the news.
I said 8 minutes, maybe like 10 minutes. That by testing. Notice the text. That by testing you may discern. So the text say it backwards. To discern, you have to test. Okay? Can we go a little deeper? The second reason this is problematic is because, number two, you need a renewed mind to be able to test, period. I'm in the scripture, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that by testing you may discern. So your mind has to be renewed for you to even test things. Because a mind that has been conformed to the world, a mind that has been conformed to culture, to trends, to vanity, is under the influence. It's drunk. So you approach topics biased and under the influence. You know how many letters got sent to the church? How many people returned their membership? How many people resigned from working in youth ministry and children's church? Because I said in Stomp the Yard, test your fraternity. Test your sorority. I promise I'm not scared. All I said was test. I said 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21 says test everything. It doesn't mean that your fraternity or your sorority is off because you don't want to test it. They got mad at the thought of just testing it. I didn't give not one opinion. All I said was test your chance. Test your oaths. Look in your book and you test it and you see if it clashes with scripture. That's all I said do was test it. But people who have a mind that is impacted by the world, they don't even want to test it.
This is 11 minutes in. 11 minutes in out of 24. This is a great point, I think, to stop. But he's so right about this. They don't even want to. When I say that he's so right about this, they don't even want to try something new. They don't even want to attempt to go against it. And it's because I think that there's a corner of their soul that knows, that's been telling them like, hey, this is not it. This is not what you want. This is not what it should really be. But because they're so heavily invested in what they want, they're not going to go to the Lord and say, Lord, like, have I done something wrong? Lord, do you want me to switch something? Do you want me to change something? Walk away, start something? They won't even test it. And Pastor Jerry Flowers is so right about this. And part of that, I think, is because when we've already made up our mind, and even when we see that it's not going the way that we want, and we're afraid, we're going to do everything in our power to hold on. We're going to do everything in our power to make it work. Everything in our power to, I don't know, prove people wrong, prove ourselves wrong. And you just end up in a lot of trouble like that. So I think that when it comes to clearing our thoughts, especially with the holiday season tomorrow, right? Again, happy Thanksgiving Eve to everybody else. We got to make sure that we're submitting everything to God. Lord, before I go over this person's house to have Thanksgiving dinner with these people, like, help me speak to them. Help me not speak on my own accord. Help me to not, if I'm just going to be frank, right? Help me not say something ignorant, right? Help me not say something that's going to embarrass you, Lord. Help me not say something that's going to make other people think I'm a fake Christian. These type of things that we should submit to the Lord, because you get to be around people that you haven't seen in a while. They're thinking different things. They believe different things than you. They're already on some type of bandwagon that you weren't familiar with because you haven't been speaking to them. So it's important to just submit these things to the Lord and ask the Lord, Lord, what do you want me to be like when I go into this place and space? What do you want me to say during this? The minute somebody asks you a question, how do you want me to answer this, Lord? You can do it on your own accord, but it usually doesn't work out well for us. All right, guys, so next clip. We got CNN discovers exorcism are on the rise, or exorcism inquiries. I was like, what? Say what now? Now this is interesting because I don't care that much for CNN, honest. And part of that is just because I do feel like, I know they're liberal, but sometimes I feel like they're far left liberal. But if they notice the rise of exorcism on the rise, I'm like, I wonder what the churches are talking about. So let's take a listen.
Every company's saying they've got AI. What's that really mean? At NetSuite, we're proud of the real AI.
Toto!
You got it, Donald.
I got Toto!
Okay. Oh, it's my favorite one. Who is that?
I did that.
I had reached desperation in my life countless times before. I had tried in the past to take my life. Like, I just was broken, and there was a spirit who had such a strong hold on me.
Go in the name of Jesus Christ. Come out of her.
The spirit was a demon.
Go. Come out of Abby.
No!
Go. Leave her all the way.
See, demons come into trauma. They come into the trauma in your life.
Go. Go.
I was beaten up as a child.
Go.
We'll have to fight all our lives because Satan's always going to come against us.
Get out!
Get out of her.
We're infected by the demons.
It's a Friday night in Phoenix. And here I am, walking into a place I never thought I'd find myself. Over several months, we keep coming back to Arizona.
Come on, friend. Come on, friend.
Home to one of the fastest growing Catholic dioceses in the country. Here, we also find family churches, a hotel conference room, even a garage, all used, as believers see it, to expel demons. What we're witnessing here, some call deliverances, others call exorcisms. They can look different across different Christian denominations. and at times can be controversial.
This is where we have the healing for the children's deliverance.
Even carried out on the very young.
Can it get violent with kids?
Oh, yeah. Some of them have to be held down.
So some of you that are watching that are probably like, what does deliverance mean? It's just a spiritual word for delivering the person from, let's say, demonic possession, right? Maybe something like that or of that sort is what's happening. I just think it's interesting that CNN is the one that's covering this. I think it's extremely bizarre that they're covering this. And I also am wondering if I do my due diligence after we're done with this live stream, if I'm going to find many churches talking about that they are recognizing the same thing. Because let's be honest, it's not like this is something that's brand new. This has been happening for some time, all throughout history, actually. We even see this in the Bible. But what's interesting is the secular liberal media platform that's covering it. So let's continue watching.
But the version most of us know dates back centuries and is rooted in the Catholic Church.
And we're headed now to meet with two Catholic priests who are exorcists. But the thing about the Catholic Church is they don't advertise this and show where their exorcist priests are. Instead, it takes a lot of digging.
Catholic exorcists are appointed quietly and rarely named. Most people never know who they are.
The bishop doesn't want them to talk publicly, doesn't want us to reveal their names, show their faces, so we can just, for now, have a conversation.
That conversation lasted nearly 2 hours. The next day, one of the priests, with his bishop's approval, agreed to speak with us on camera.
This is the first time I've actually interviewed an exorcist.
We sit down at a church far from his home parish.
We're not showing your face and revealing your name. There's a desire to keep a shroud of mystery, but for practical reasons.
Now this part I can agree with. I can actually attest to what he's saying here because the research that I've done, tons of research. I love this type of stuff. Or I used to kind of borderline be obsessed with like exorcism and things like that. So just doing a lot of research on it, just where they go to school at, how they're chosen, who they're assigned to, how their assignments are chosen. It's interesting if you just go online and you read some of the stories and some of their interactions with people and how they kind of come up in the church. It is extremely secretive. It's actually not a prominent position that is announced publicly, or you would see many people even talking about in the public square. I thought that was interesting just simply because it's biblical, right? So we shouldn't be afraid to talk about it. We shouldn't be afraid to name what these people are. But at the same time, I know it's extremely frightening for people. I know it's confusing, and I know people who don't understand it, you know, they think it's like witchcraft or dealing with ghosts and things like that, and they're just gonna be like, all right, I'm out of here, you know. So I get why it's so secretive, but yeah, to this guy's point, he's absolutely right. It's very secretive in how they're chosen and you know, where they go to school at and even their names. So let's keep watching.
Yes. For reasons of safety and protect people, protect ourselves and protect others.
And then the question folks might ask is, who are you protecting yourself from?
As a priest, I believe I face some hostility, what we as Catholics call the world.
He's been an exorcist since 1999, and this is the first time he's spoken publicly about exorcisms.
It began about 26 years ago with a young lady in the parish. She lived out in a ranch. We visited the ranch to do the exorcism. It went very quickly, very dramatic.
What does that look like?
It was as if a flash of light, almost red in color, came out of her, went through the window, and the young woman says, "I think he's gone." I said, "So do I."
Since that first exorcism, he says the demand has only increased.
Can you give me a sense early on, 26 years or so ago, what were you seeing as far as the request for exorcisms, and what have you seen since?
What there has been is a surge in requests.
how often every week or month back then versus now?
I would say when I began, maybe there were 3 to 5 every 1 to 3 months. And now I'm going to guess it would be 3 to 5, maybe every week.
It's, I assume, nonstop for you then.
It is. I find that Satan is very astute.
We reached out to every diocese and archdiocese across the U.S., and out of the 48 that responded, more than 24 say they have seen an increase in inquiries for exorcisms over the past 2 decades. At Arizona State University, we meet Professor Michael Ostling.
Exorcism has been part of Christianity from its beginning.
He studies everything from the roots of Christian belief to how people across cultures understand the supernatural.
The very first thing that Jesus does, according to the Gospels, as part of his ministry, is an exorcism. A person who is possessed by an unclean spirit starts yelling. And Jesus says, "Be silent." And the spirit departs from the man. That's when the crowd says, "Oh, this guy's got something going on."
And that's why Christianity today still holds on to this, because it's rooted in the tradition leading back through the Gospels.
Some of the earliest images of exorcisms date back to the Middle Ages, like this painting from the 1200s, which depicts a Franciscan priest expelling demons from a city. In the 15th century, Italian painter Antonio Vivarini portrayed a priest casting a devil out of a woman.
The experience of being possessed is an experience that we find across the world in many cultures.
If you live in a Delaware zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years.
But many modern Christians don't take literal exorcism seriously. They do see it as something pretty worrisome, a bad way of treating mental health issues, something ripe for abuse, something that is itself a form of abuse.
The Catholic exorcist sees it differently. For him, an exorcism is an act of charity, accompanying people who feel isolated in their suffering.
What can you say about the demographics of folks who have come to you?
A lot of people are victims of trauma, especially childhood trauma, being raised in an extremely dysfunctional household where there might be verbal.
Well, look at that. Well, look at that. That's an interesting common denominator, right? He says trauma, especially childhood trauma. People who have been raised in extreme volatile and adverse environments. So now someone could say, so is he saying that demonic possession, that usually is common in people who have childhood trauma? It could be. It depends on what level of trauma it is. He's not saying that it's a known fact, or he's not saying that this is in every single person that he's met with, but he's saying that this is something that is a pretty congruent factor. It goes across the board. Yeah, I see it pretty often. I think that that's extremely interesting, but not surprising. I'm not surprised by it at all. So we'll watch a little bit more of it, and then we'll move on to the next clip.
And physical and emotional abuse. The worst I have seen that has opened portals to demonic influence where a person is totally innocent is when they were sexually abused as children. The sexual abuse opened horrible doors to Satan.
Do you see a lot of that?
Oh, very, very common. Very common.
Sex abuse even within the church?
Yes.
And has that been something that you, as a priest, as an exorcist, has...
When they were sexually abused, has opened portals to demonic influence and physical and emotional abuse. The worst I have seen that has opened portals to demonic influence where a person is totally innocent is when they were sexually abused as children. The sexual abuse opened horrible doors to Satan.
Do you see a lot of that?
I don't even know how to respond to that, because I was literally talking to my therapist about something along the lines of this yesterday. And that is pretty horrifying for me to hear. But it's, again, like I said, it's not shocking. But he says some of the worst. So he's been explaining this, but he says some of the worst cases I see is someone who has been abused as a child. They've been sexually abused, taken advantage of as a child. He's saying those are some of the worst cases of demonic possession he's seen. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary.
Oh, very, very common. Very common.
Sex abuse even within the church.
Yes.
And has that been something that you, as a priest, as an exorcist, has had to deal with somebody who was a victim of another priest?
I've dealt with perhaps 2 or 3 persons. Yeah.
And what is that like?
It's very sad. The immediate reaction is guilt. And then as they mature and realize someone did this to me, someone more powerful than I am hurt me, they get angry at the church. But by the time they come to see me as a priest, what they're asking for is healing.
What are your feelings when it comes to this specific topic?
This sounds really cliche, but it's definitely curiosity that drives it. I'm a practicing Catholic. I don't know much about exorcisms. It was something that I was often just aligning with, and I think most of us do this, Hollywood and the portrayal of whatever would happen around Halloween and, the extreme horrors that come with it. My biggest concern is that we were going to step into a space that could be seen as exploitative.
I don't need to go chasing devils.
But then when you're actually in the midst of it, you see the humanity.
It beat me up.
How old?
13.
So there it is, the whole story with Anderson Cooper. It shows where you guys can go watch it. I think this stuff is amazing. Again, this is stuff that it's not new to me, it's not shocking to me, but just seeing the research and man, it's just crazy seeing CNN cover it out of all people, but just seeing the research be done, and now that they are able to connect these dots, and these are dots that, mind you, therapists, pastors, people in the church, this isn't new to us. This is something that makes total sense to us. It's just interesting to see it, such a secular platform like CNN cover it. But I mean, I'm glad to see it. I know people are gonna say, oh, this is hocus pocus or ghost stories. I don't believe in this. Listen, it's biblical. What they're talking about is biblical, and that priest, he knows something, because he can talk about all the worst case scenarios, and I'm like, man, that is some type of connection to make, and I'm pretty sure he is just a priest and he is not a therapist. All right, guys, let's move on to the next clip.
We've helped thousands of veterans get jobs in tech making $10K or more a month without spending 4 years in college.
The Department of Education recently made one of the dumbest decisions ever regarding healthcare. They decided that nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, occupational therapists, and physical therapists, among others, are no longer considered professional degrees. Not only is this extremely insulting to some of the most integral healthcare providers that we have, but it will also likely impact staffing of these types of practitioners.
Shout out to Also Fresno. You guys go check his channel out when you get a chance. This is kind of crazy. So, and I love the way I chose this channel. I chose the channel because the gentleman that he's using to break down everything, what really got to me is when he started explaining about student loans, federal student aid, because of this decision. So I'm like, wow, so now it's going to be harder for nurses and people who work in the medical field to get financial assistance to go to school, and these are some of the most important people that we need in our hospitals, right? So I don't know how I feel about this decision. You guys tell me how you feel about it. Let's keep watching.
We're currently facing an extreme nursing shortage, and it's only going to get worse over the next several years. Now, there are a lot of reasons for this, but one big one is burnout. Surveys show that 4 in 5 nurses face extreme stress while at work. And this has only been made worse after the pandemic, where you get stupid people who don't respect them and will even assault nurses. And staffing shortages, partly caused by poor reimbursements from insurance companies to hospitals, cause these nurses to have to handle many more patients than they can safely handle. Now, on top of that, the Department of Education, headed by former WWE executive Linda McMahon, is now calling them no longer professionals. And this will limit the amount of federal student loans that nursing students can take out. Now, this can't make the nursing shortage worse, could it? The fact is that nurses are the most important part of the hospital system. Yes, even more important than physicians. If all the nurses were to quit their job today, the hospital system and healthcare would fall apart literally within minutes. But if you think about it, if all the doctors would quit today, then nurses can actually keep this shit going for a while. And then you take physical therapists, all of them whom now are required to get a doctorate in physical therapy to practice. They too will be limited in the federal student loans that they can take, so that they literally will not be able to actually pay for schooling. I think Linda McMahon may have had too many DDTs and stone cold stunners that she has lost her freaking mind.
This is the dumbest move I've ever seen. And let's be honest, this is like a target towards women who work in this department. Like a majority of people who work as nurses are women. And
DDTs and stone cold stunners. That's crazy to use that. That was crazy that he said that. Yeah, this is insane. Like, so a PhD just for a physical therapist. This is interesting, these shifts that they're making. I'm not sure if this is gonna help or hurt. I don't get it. And if people are enraged by this, I can see that, especially people who are in the medical field, because I'm like, all the headlines are reading is like Trump administration downgrades nurses, and I'm thinking to myself, like, that's an ugly headline. Like, how are you downgrading people that are in the hospital? People who literally, if something happens to people, we have to go to that place that you're basically telling them, yeah, you know what you do is actually not considered a profession. So yeah, so what is it then? Like, what? I don't understand. Let's keep watching. That's crazy.
this is tremendously affecting them. And essentially, they were forcing them to now go to private companies to get loans that have high interest rates, which is not the best option ever. How do you go from being essential workers to non-professionals? A registered nurse degree is one of the hardest degrees to obtain. Speaking as a nurse, also physicians don't know how to do most of what we do. After all the education, training, examinations that we have to take, if nursing is not a profession, then what is it? At this point, they think of it like a curricular activity or a side gig, and they just chucked it away like, it ain't nothing but a thing. Non-professionals telling professionals they are not professionals. The irony.
Why does it matter that NP school and CRNA school is no longer considered a professional degree? It matters as far as federal loans and how much money they will give you now. So now that CRNA school and NP school is no longer considered a professional degree, your federal loan limit will now be $20,000 a year. CRNA school is $150,000 to $200,000, and you can't work during it. So you see the issue? And the craziest part is someone commented on my last post and was like, it's not like they're trying to take your degree. No, I don't think they're trying to take my BSN. I already have my BSN, but it's going to make it very hard for me to go back to school. And the craziest part, someone commented under her comment and was like, it just makes it hard for people who can't afford to go back to school, that now they have to take out like private loans and stuff to do so. And she was like, well, I'm on a low income loan and I'm not affected. You're not affected now. Who's to say you're not next?
What's funny is I thought that I was about to go to school to be a nurse practitioner, but I don't think so at this point because they said nursing is no longer considered a professional degree. I'd like to see these people go to school for 2 years and get associates. I'd like them to go to school for 4 years and get...
So that's crazy because everyone is kind of saying the same thing. Like, the biggest problem, I mean, it's already disrespectful to say, hey, you know, even though you do this every day, you practically save lives, you help people. Yeah, that's not considered a profession. This is what's baffling me. Like, how is it not a profession? Like, so what is it then exactly? Like, are they going to say that this is a trade? That's interesting. It's $150,000, she said, and now you're capped at $20,000. So I'm like, oh, well, this profession, right? Well, no pun intended, but they're not saying it's a profession. We're not going to see any growth here in the future until there's policy change, because if you're capped at $20,000 and it costs $110 to $150, I mean, who's gonna pay the rest of that out of pocket? Even someone that has a great salary, they're not going to be able to pay that out of pocket, and they still have to maintain their lifestyle. So this is kind of disrespectful. This is kind of crazy.
bachelor's. How about they go to school for 6 years and get a master's? And see how professional that is. Just graduated school. I'm a new grad resident. Had a dream that I was going to be a nurse practitioner. I planned on going next year. But guess what? In 2026, they said that they're cutting the funding. Y'all not getting no more loans, baby. Well, y'all are. But guess what? Y'all only get $20,000 a year. The school I plan on attending is $60,000. To get a master's degree in nursing and science, to become a psychiatric nurse practitioner, $60,000. They're only going to give us $20,000 a year. You do the math. The program's 2 years. $60,000. They're giving me $20,000 a year. That's $40K. Guess what? I got $20,000 I still got to come up with. That means I'm not going to school. Who's coming out of pocket $20,000 just to go to school? When I'm used to getting grants and loans and things of that nature. But now they said no. Figure it out. They don't want us to continue our education. They want us to stay exactly where we at. They want the women to be barefoot and pregnant because nursing is primarily dominated by women. They said, nah, y'all go ahead, get back in the kitchen, make me some food, and take care of my children. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to advance. They don't want you to make more money. They want to see where you at. Crabs in a bucket. But you know what? I ain't gonna worry about that. I'm gonna take my talents elsewhere. Y'all better work on y'all businesses. Y'all better get y'all LLC. Y'all better do what y'all need to do. Y'all need to get y'all social media following up. Y'all better collect the bag another way. Because I don't know if you're going to get this other degree. I would like to, but I don't know. They're playing with my time. But it's all right.
Terrible things can happen to those of us careless enough to disrespect our ancestors.
You want the truth? Inflation is at the highest levels in over 40 years, and you're paying the price.
I'll call you back. Bye.
I'm still going for nursing. I'm not allowing the devil to stop what God has for me. Amen to that.
Women with advanced degrees should leave the United States immediately. It has become that extreme. And women, if you are pursuing an advanced degree, transfer to another country yesterday. This reclassification of degrees as professional or not professional shows that educated women are the biggest threat to this administration and their goals. So what are they trying to do? They are trying to prevent more of us from being out there. More of us with advanced professional degrees like teachers, nurses, nurse practitioners, physical therapists, occupational therapists, degrees that give women, historically, independence to live autonomously, not be tied down to a man. And ladies, if you already have your degree, they will come for you at some point too. This is just the beginning. First, they're trying to prevent more of us, but eventually they're going to come for.
Okay, so I think this lady's opinion is a bit drastic. I don't think you have to go to another country. But I do get what she's saying. That's why I said we're not going to see any growth in the field for some time. Like if this kicks in 2026. And what does this look like if you're like already there? So are you grandfathered in and you're going to keep getting it? Or like once 2026 comes, it's like you're going to be capped at the $20K. I'm like, that's pretty horrible. I mean, it is expensive. $150,000 is expensive. But I mean, to be capped at 20, like you're not even touching half. So it's almost like, do you want people to even be in this profession if you're not going to at least assist with half of that? I get it. Some people argue and push back and say, well, if you want to do that, then, put the money up to do that. But, that wasn't the case in the past. And there's people who, why don't they feel this way about accountants? I mean, if nurses are up for grabs, what's going to be up for grabs next? So that's just interesting.
All of us. You do know that. And me, being a former teacher with a master's degree in education and the rise of fascism, yeah, that's one of my advanced degrees, honey, saw the writing on the wall over a year ago. And guys, they told us exactly what they were going to do. They put it online. You could literally Google P2025, you know what I mean, and read it. This was all part of their plan. And now is the time. I tell people all the time, I'll let you know when it's time to leave. I'll let you know when it's time to worry. Ladies, it's time.
France, Germany, and Norway are offering U.S. medical students free tuition. That was out last week in advance to this. I guess now you have a few other options that you can also go to, including Canada. Not leaving others to fight fascism on their own. My advanced degree and I will stay right here and fight. Hey, at least there's some people willing to stay and fight, because you can't just leave when things get tough. Now, if this becomes like a situation that's ongoing, hey, maybe you might have to count your luck and leave. 2 family members voted for this. One, a master degree teacher, and another nurse. They are pretty quiet as of late. such foolishness. Now they realize the consequences of the action.
So currently nurse practitioner degrees are no longer going to be considered professional degrees under the new Department of Education proposed rules that go into effect next July. MDs and DOs, they are still considered professional. That makes complete and logical sense. However, NPs, not professional. CRNAs, not professional. PAs, not professional. But chiropractors, they are still considered professional under these new proposed rules. However, physical and occupational therapists do not fall under these professional degrees. They are not professional. Speech language pathologists, not professional. Theology and divinity degrees, yes, they are considered professional. However, teachers, the ones who are actually the ones teaching the entire country, are not considered professional. I truly cannot even put into words how much this does not make any sense. As the entire speech language pathologists, not professional. Theology and divinity degrees, yes, they are considered professional. However, teachers, the ones who are actually the ones teaching the entire country, are not.
So they left theology and divinity degrees as professional, but they took teaching degrees. And they said teaching degrees are not like, who's coming up with this? They said this came from the Department of Education. Oh man, that's Linda. That's from Linda.
Not considered professional. I truly cannot even put into words how much this does not make any sense. As someone who's been studying my ass off for 2.5 years in a doctorate of nursing practice program, completing clinical rotations and managing patients and sacrificing my time, my money, my sleep, and quite frankly, my sanity, to now be told that my profession is not professional is beyond disrespectful to not just NPs, but to every single professional healthcare degree out there. NPs, CRNAs, PAs, PTs, OTs, SLPs, social workers, even teachers. Like, it is so disrespectful in so many ways to not consider these professions professional enough to be worthy of loans. This decision doesn't just impact job titles, it impacts federal loan caps and affordability and access to education and the future workforce. It's all in all very insulting to every single advanced practice provider out there who works on the front line of a very broken system, but still chooses to show up for their patients every single day. So to the Department of Education, I don't know who came up with this list and how you guys decided on which profession is more professional than the others, but please go back and try again.
They're targeting women-dominated fields. I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. Female-dominated fields are the bulk of these, and it's intentional. It was outlined in P 2025 as well.
This goes without saying, but nurses...
Okay, so it looks like in the comments someone is telling someone's telling Ozo that it was a part of Project 2025. The same Project 2025 that people are going to say, Trump said he didn't know nothing about. Well, this seems to have been a part of it. So they're going after female-dominant industries. That's interesting. I didn't think about it that way at first. But I'm not going to be completely closed off to it. I wonder, would we be willing to say that they're going over industries that are oversaturated? But then someone would say, well, Q, of course not, because we need more teachers. We have been needing more teachers. So teachers clearly are not, that's not a field where we are oversaturated. So yeah, it's interesting then to think about, well, could it be female-dominated industries? Let's hope not. Let's keep listening.
Carried this country through the pandemic, and the Department of Education has just turned around and spat in all of our faces, because the new rules that they have proposed that would go into effect next July no longer consider CRNAs, which are nurse anesthetists, and nurse practitioners as professional degrees. However, chiropractors, a pseudoscience that is quite literally rooted in the belief that a dead doctor, the ghost of a dead doctor, came to this guy and showed him how to crack backs in order to cure disease. That's chiropractics. Those are professional degrees, as well as theologists, people who study religion. But nurse practitioners, CRNAs, PAs, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech and language pathologists, none of those are professional degrees anymore. This is important because the professional degree designation is now what the Department of Education is using to decide who actually gets student loans and therefore gets to go to school. And before people start commenting it, yes, I'm fully aware that Project 2025 aims to get less women in the workforce. Student loans is important because gays, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech and language pathologists, none of those are professional degrees anymore. This is important because the professional degree designation is now what the Department of Education is using to decide who actually gets student loans and therefore gets to go to school. And before people start commenting it, yes, I'm fully aware that Project 2025 aims to get
speech and language pathologist though. Like, what is the point of that? This is where it's like, I mean, she's about to say something about, yes, I know Project 2025 aims to have less women in the workforce. So let's see what she says regarding that. Because now I'm like, okay, I don't want to think like this, but is it that? Is it women-dominated industries? Because speech and language pathologists, like, how is that not a profession anymore? I'm confused.
Less women in the workforce, and they are fully aware that most of the professions that they designated as no longer professional degrees that I just named are primarily women. And yes, I am fully aware that chiropractors are primarily frat boys who were not smart enough to get into med school. And yes, I mean that with full offense. But this goes further than disrespect. This is going to cripple our healthcare system even further. The number of people who have been able to afford to go to med school has been steadily dropping for a long time. And that is why a lot of folks have turned to other degrees like physician assistants, PAs, nurse practitioners, etc., in order to reach a provider level of care. And a lot of folks, I'm willing to bet a lot of people watching this video, see nurse practitioners for their primary health care. Internal medicine is a field of medicine that is by and large, lowly funded. These doctors, these providers do not make a lot of money. And nurse practitioners are one of the largest groups of people providing that medicine, which is so extremely important in order for people to maintain a basic level of health. So yeah, this fucking sucks. It's a huge slap in the face, and the Department of Education can suck my...
And it's very sad to see where this administration is willing to go to get what they want. This is eugenics. So many people will pass away because of this. Medical costs are going to soar, and wait times are going to increase. Well, guys, let me know what your thoughts are with nursing not considered to be a profession. And
shout out to Oso for the content. I thought they were just going to attack nursing, but they did it to a lot of things in the medical field. And as I said, I'm doing my best not to think about as a female-dominated industries, but I just don't like some of the stuff I heard. So I'm like, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I won't jump to conclusions. We'll see. But some of these things that are considered no longer a profession, I think it's insane. Now, I don't understand how they arrived at this. If it's not female-dominated industries, you guys tell me what it is, because how did they arrive? Like, so a nurse is no longer a profession. A speech and language pathologist is no longer like, who chose? Was it just Linda? We need to figure this out. Let's move to the next clip, because I think that's a little bit insane. And we have to go to these hospitals where these people work that have been pouring their lives and blood, sweat, and tears into their job. And I get it, all nurses are not nice, but you're basically telling these people who are in this profession, hey, check this out. This is basically just a trade, or like maybe even close to a hobby. Like, this is insane. I'm dying to know who came out with this. Let's go to the next clip.
There are still shockwaves over the upcoming resignation of Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. That happens in January. Greene made the surprise announcement online Friday night during this very show. It's unclear what she'll do next after 5 years in office. She started as one of the president's staunchest supporters and will leave Congress branded as a traitor by him after their very public falling out. Jeff Seleny went to her district in Northwest Georgia to see how voters are reacting.
We wanted Marjorie to be Marjorie. We appreciate her. She doesn't blend into the curtains like other people do up in Washington.
Like so many others here in Georgia, David Goldenshoe was talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene and the bombshell announcement she will resign from Congress in January. But unlike most who only talk about her, he knows her well. And after finishing his weekly radio show today, he said 3 things above all explain why she's leaving.
She may be very, very, very conservative. At the same time, she wants to see things get done. The second factor, I think, was the Charlie Kirk assassination. That had a profound impact on her. And then the third thing, I think, was just the falling out with President Trump.
Among friends and foes alike, and there are many of both in her hometown of Rome, Georgia, a sense of disbelief at her decision reverberated from one conversation to another.
Surprise. Didn't expect that.
Sunny Knaus runs the Sunflower Community Bakery and had started to reconsider her view of Greene after she stood her ground against President Trump over the release of the Epstein files.
I disagreed with a lot of the stuff she did early on in Congress. I applaud her for breaking away from the pack because that's a really hard thing to do in politics. There's just a handful of people that are brave enough to do that, so gotta hand her that.
Like breaking away from Trump, you mean?
Right. Break away from Trump and just standing up.
The 14th Congressional District, stretching from Atlanta's suburbs to the Appalachian foothills and Tennessee state line, has long been Trump country, and the Congresswoman has long led the loyalty parade.
Come on up, Marjorie. Come on.
Mr. President.
All that a distant memory after she criticized the president and he turned on her.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The remarkable feud that ultimately led to a resignation video on Friday night.
I refuse to be a battered.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The remarkable feud that ultimately led to a resignation video on.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All that a distant memory after she criticized the president and he turned on her.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The remarkable feud that ultimately led to a resignation video on Friday night.
Why did he have to say that? Like I purposely did that many times because I'm like, why, Trump? Why? And listen, I tell you guys all of the time, just because people vote for President Trump or they voted for him, it doesn't mean they're going to agree with everything that he does. Some of the things he says, I think overzealous is an understatement. Like, I'm just like, why you have to go that far, bro? Like, why do you have to say traitor? Like, just because, like, you're that upset. I get it. You guys, like, in the live streams, in the past couple of 2 weeks especially, you guys have been, like, so torn in the chat when it comes to Marjorie. Like, people like MTG, where we're supporting you. We're here for you. Thank you for what you're doing for the Epstein files. Other people like, F her, turn this off. Why are you even playing this? And it's just like, dude, it's insane. But let's just keep watching.
I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away and gets better.
Was still fresh on the minds of many people here today, including these 2 Green supporters out for a morning walk.
How was she as a congresswoman from the district?
Well, I think she represented the people, what they felt. Not everybody felt that way, obviously. I wouldn't have called her a traitor. That's Trump. You know, he hits back if you hit him.
With 42 days now left in her abbreviated term, there was no shortage of opinions about Greene. Radford Bunker was among those expressing regret to be losing their firebrand in Congress.
I'm sorry that she resigned. I think that she's a thoughtful person. Like I said, I'm just sorry that politics has come to the sort of tribalism where you have to agree with everything on everybody.
Others, like Virginia McChesney, were far closer to saying good riddance.
We, this district, really just want someone who represents us instead of thinks of themselves and tries to promote a political point of view.
Are you sorry to see her go?
Not really. I think we've probably seen more of her as a real person in the past 3 days than we have ever.
And Jeff Zeleny is with us tonight. Jeff, has Greene said anything about what she'll be doing next after she resigns from Congress?
John, she hasn't. She said what she will not be doing, and that is run for president. Why, you may ask? She would even be considering that. Well, there was a Time magazine report over the weekend that said she's considering it, according to friends of hers. She pushed back on that very strongly. She said she is not considering running for president. She said she laughs at the idea if anyone brings it up. And the reality is that might be a bridge too far, obviously, going from the House. to run for president. But the question is, what will she do? And even friends of hers that we talked to here are not sure what she will do. Of course, there's a governor's race, a Senate race, but for now at least, she plans to spend a little bit of time at home and go sort of under the radar after January 5th when she leaves Congress.
Under the radar, Marjorie Taylor Greene, not phrases that have gone hand in hand for a few years. Jeff Zeleny, thank you very much.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's surprise decision to leave Congress has set off House Republicans, many of whom are reportedly frustrated with how the Trump team and Speaker Mike Johnson are behaving. Now, there is concern that her exit could prompt others to step aside. A senior Republican lawmaker tells Punchbowl News, quote, "More explosive early resignations are coming. It's a tinderbox. Morale has never been lower. Mike Johnson will be stripped of his gavel, and they will lose the majority before this term is out." And adding to the tensions, New CNN reporting tonight that the president's health care plan, which was originally expected this week, stripped of his gavel, and they will lose the majority before this term is out. And adding to...
So how do you guys feel about that? That they're going to use the majority before the term is out? A lot of people do feel like that. Some people don't. I don't agree with everything he says, but I watched Nick Fuentes cover this. I didn't think he did a horrible job with it. I watched a couple of people cover Marjorie Taylor Greene's exit, and some of them are fairly shocked about it. Nick goes on the record to say, listen, I think that she's either being blackmailed or she's being threatened. At one point, I wasn't thinking about the blackmail part, yes, the threatened part, not so much. But when you put it into consideration, I'm like, yeah, both of these make sense. It's so abrupt, and it seems to be happening so fast. Now, granted, I know it could be faster than that. She could come on record and say, hey, I'm out of here in 24 hours. So it's obviously not that type of threat. They're giving her some time. But I just thought it was interesting that when he put the threat with the blackmail, I said, yeah, it's definitely possible that because she went on record to push so hard for some of this Epstein stuff that she pissed a couple of people off. So let's keep watching.
The tensions, New CNN reporting tonight that the president's health care plan, which was originally expected this week, has been delayed due to backlash from his party. Maybe we'll see it in 2 weeks. Am I right? Okay, so Jamal, this is actually, I think, one of the more significant things. I mean, covering Trump in the first term and now in this term, I don't think that we have heard this kind of discontent coming from inside the party's ranks. And people thought that Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning was like, oh, she's just giving up. But she was also making it harder for Mike Johnson to have the votes that he needs. And if many others follow her, they'll be doing the same thing.
You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene wasn't as popular inside the caucus, it turns out, as we thought. But out in Republican land, in MAGA land, she was sort of as popular as a quarter zip in a matcha, right? Like, people thought that maybe she was somebody that she was able to raise money. She was the second most popular fundraiser in the Republican Party. That's got to be a difficult thing for you to manage if you're the speaker. So what we're seeing now is the wall is cracking around Donald Trump, and people are now starting to realize that maybe you can oppose him, whether it's Marjorie Taylor Greene or it's dealing with the filibuster or it's opposing him on this health care bill. Maybe you can oppose him, you can push back, and if that begins to be the norm, I think we may see Trump 2.0 start faster than we thought it was going to start.
I will tell you, I wish she had stayed and served out her term, because I think that the significance of being a MAGA, Trump-loving Republican, she's voted with Donald Trump over 90% of the time, speaking out against some of the abuses of power and calling a spade, pissing from inside the tent is a lot more effective than doing it from outside. So I wish she had served out her term, which is she's got another year until January 2027. I also think a lot of Republicans logically are reading the writing on the wall. And they saw the consequences, the effects. They saw the results of the elections a few weeks ago. And the idea of going from being in the majority to being in the minority, frankly, is painful. Because it's very different.
And they're not being treated well. That's part of the problem. Here's one GOP source saying the entire White House team has treated all members like garbage. And then they blame Mike Johnson for letting it happen because the Trump team, they don't think Congress matters. And so they have basically ignored them. They've stepped all over them.
So they don't think Congress matters. And we know why they're pushing this type of rhetoric. I think it's interesting because you have some people who on the left who are saying Marjorie Taylor Greene is stepping out and she's calling a spade, and because she's doing that, this is the reason why, you know, Trump is now calling her a traitor and there's this huge breakup that's now taking place. I think that it's more to what Nick Fuentes and other people have said, where there's some blackmail and there's some threatening taking place. It's so abrupt the way she's going about it. She's not saying much about it. You know, she's not saying much about what's next after this. You heard what the guy said, that she's pretty much going to go dark, go hiding, you know, after this. This seems odd. And Nick said this, he put this well, but he says this seems odd for someone, and I'm paraphrasing, but who has gained so much traction over the last 5 years. And that's why it was kind of off-putting to me. And essentially, I joked with you guys on the live stream, and I'm like, hey, let us find out that Marjorie's in the Epstein files, right? But not saying that that's it, but it's just so abrupt in the way it's being handled, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. She's been making traction. Nick Fuentes also said it, like, and so did I think it was Liberty Vote. She's in a perfect space that if she wanted to run for a higher office, she's gained enough popularity that she probably would have been in a great position to actually obtain that. Now we won't know because January 5th is coming, but I think there's also a possibility that January 5th will come and she won't go anywhere. Like, I'm kind of also putting that into place. It might happen, but I don't know. Just with the way that everything's happening and playing out, I'm like, maybe it's just a hoax, and as we get close, she won't go anywhere at all. But let's keep watching.
Them, and now some of these members are speaking up.
So I think it goes even deeper than this, her resignation. So first of all, I'm from Georgia, and it surprises exactly 0 people in Georgia that she resigned, because John Ossoff has been fundraising off of a potential challenge for Marjorie Taylor Greene for like a year. So that's obviously a potential, but I really think that there is a potential for her to be the head of this new Republican movement, the one that is perhaps being created by Tucker and Nick Fuentes. I think that I know it sounds crazy, but think about it, it makes sense, right? They're both America First, anti-Israel, which is a whole big movement there, and she's made lots of anti-Semitic comments in the past. They're both.
She wouldn't walk away from them when she was.
She won't. And she's like, I told you, Jews control the weather. They're both great replacement theory. They both don't like LGBT people, and they're both Christian nationalists. And as the Republican Party breaks apart, as we're seeing right now, and there's another faction, and with Donald Trump being a lame duck in the office, I truly think that she's saying, you know what, there's an opportunity for me here, because I've been saying these things that people are just now catching on to for a long time.
Are you saying you think she's going to run in a Republican primary for Senate in Georgia?
I think that that's possible, and I think she's going to be the head of this new movement. I think she and Tucker and Nick Fuentes can work together to create this new movement.
I don't think there's going to be nearly as many defectors as we're predicting right now. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, and who knows, maybe she has a few other defectors with her. They've gone rogue. But I think what most of the GOP in Congress, which to your point, Abby, they want to recover their agency and actually start legislating, which is a really good idea, because that's what the three, branches of government are supposed to do in harmony. I think what they realize is that this is what happens when someone takes a movement and turns it into an ideology that's divorced from reality. Trump never said America first means America alone. But if Marjorie Taylor Greene had her way, it means that we would isolate from the world stage, retreat fully. There's going to be nearly as many.
Now, I wanted to go back because I want us to take a look at that. She made a great point. She said, Trump never said America first meant America alone. That's a key point for you guys to remember, because on a live stream yesterday, I said, not yesterday, the day before yesterday, I said that apparently now MAGA and America first are two different things. We've seen this since Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes' interview. This is what this rhetoric looks like. America first means America only, right? And then MAGA means make America great again, but it also includes people who love Israel. This is the split that we're seeing. So I gave context to this because I said this has happened since Nick Fuentes and Tucker met, right? A lot of these people that are saying America first, their biggest argument is, hey, you're giving too much aid to Israel. You're giving them too much money. You're not telling us why you're giving us all this money. And also, they're basically, and this is the opinion of America first, they're basically war criminals, and you're condoning their behavior. We're not okay with that, right? We're America first. We don't have time for what Israel's doing. doing. Let Israel deal with Israel, and we deal with America first, which means America only. So she makes a great point. That's why I wanted to rewind this so you guys can just listen to this one more time.
Defectors, as we're predicting right now. I
truly think that she's saying, in Georgia,
I think it's going to be nearly as many defectors as we're predicting right now. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, and who knows, maybe she has a few other defectors with her. They've gone rogue. But I think what most of the GOP in Congress, which to your point, Abby, they want to recover their agency and actually start legislating, which is a really good idea because that's what the three, branches of government are supposed to do in harmony. I think what they realize is that this is what happens when someone takes a movement and turns it into an ideology that's divorced from reality. Trump never said America first means America alone. But if Marjorie Taylor Greene had her way, it means that we would isolate from the world stage, retreat fully, we'd have no alliances. But Trump said, look, that leaves no room for statesmanship or pragmatism or prudence.
I refuse to be a battered wife, hoping it all goes away.
All right, I want us to take a look at that because that's a little bit of an update, and then we'll keep going to the regularly scheduled program. But Trump weighs in on this. I think it's a big deal that MAGA's been split. And that's what it is. Some people are like, what is this new party that's existing? She said towards the end, if Marjorie Taylor Greene had her way, we would have no alliances with Israel. We would have, because that's what America First looks like, right? Nick Fuentes actually has some of those same views. And so there's a lot of people who are saying this whole America First. Normally, they're critical of Israel. Now, I don't have a problem with this. I'm just trying to help you guys be able to identify what this looks like. But know that all these people started out MAGA. Right? Nick is very transparent and open about this. Marjorie is. They started out very much supportive of Trump. She said, I spent a lot of my own money campaigning around the country for him to become president. So they were very much MAGA, but then something happened. They don't like all of the aid, all of the contribution, all of the help that's going towards Israel. So this is what we have to pay attention to when we're like, what's the difference here between this whole America First and MAGA? Like, why does this seem like a split? So let's take a look at what Trump weighs in on.
And gets better. I'll be resigning from office with my last day being January 5th, 2026. And I look forward to seeing many of you again sometime in the future. May God bless you all, and may God bless America.
Now that Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced her resignation from Congress, she did so last Friday, the real question is what comes next, and more importantly, what fueled her decision to do this? Cenk, was it threats against her life, maybe by a foreign country?
It's really hard to tell. And so I think that she's definitely going to make a comeback. The only question is how. Is it media? Is it politics? Mm-hmm. So, and should she stay in Congress? We're asking you that question as well, and I have a strong opinion on that.
So her sudden announcement shocked many, including myself, and Trump's response to all of it has been fascinating. He kind of flip-flops from mocking her to praising her, but there has been a lot of mockery. So this is what he had to say on Saturday as he was speaking to reporters.
Are you willing to forgive Congresswoman Taylor Greene? Forgive for what? No, I just disagreed with her philosophy. She started backing perhaps the worst Republican congressman in our history, just stupid person named Massey. And I said, go your own way. And once I left her, she resigned because she would never have survived a primary. But I think she's a nice person.
I remember I got a chance to actually watch that live. In the first, he started out, I get along with everybody, right? Which I'm like, come on, DT, don't be honest about it. But he says that she would have never survived a primary without me. I don't know. She, like Nick Fuentes and many other people have said, she gained a lot of traction over the last 5 years. She was doing well, advocating for the Epstein victims and the files, and she was picking up her own traction and kind of in her own way and lane over these last couple of months. But a Trump endorsement would have it would have been a big deal for her. But I just think it's interesting that he says she would have never won a primary without me. So right now he feels like, I guess, her dropping out is the best thing to do. I'm not sure if he's mad about it. He's not being very transparent about that. But it's just interesting that he goes on record to say, without me, she would have never won a primary. So let's keep watching.
She is the single largest small dollar fundraiser for the Republican Party. So interesting. I'm sure the people in her district in Georgia actually care about the well-being of Israel way more than the well-being of the American people and of themselves and their own families. But anyway, moving on Truth Social, he had some other thoughts, including calling her Marjorie Trader Brown instead of Marjorie Taylor Greene, calls out her so-called plummeting poll numbers, not wanting to deal with a primary challenger with a strong Trump endorsement, blah, blah, blah. You guys get the point. He then proceeded to call her a lowlife on Sunday in another lengthy post. And the decision was also slammed by some Democrats who you would expect to say negative things about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's just give you one example. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wrote that Marjorie Taylor Greene is carefully planning her departure just 1 to 2 days after her pension kicks in. Greene is saying a lot, but her actions have not backed up the rhetoric. For all her talk, she's still voting with them to gut health care. Now, look, AOC out of all people knows what it's like to cave into pressure. And I don't see Marjorie Taylor Greene caving into pressure when it comes to her very vocal criticism of the U.S. alliance with Israel. And she was the only Republican who was willing to go on the record and call what's happening in Gaza a genocide. She totally went against her own party by calling out their unwillingness to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies. And also called out her own party for failing to have a replacement health care plan if they wanted to repeal the Affordable Care Act. So, I get what she's saying in that, Marjorie Taylor Greene has voted in a way that I don't agree with. But in her final months in office, she's actually been doing and saying the right things. And I'm going to give her credit for that.
No, I'll be harsher than you. So AOC is right about the pension part. Okay, fair is fair. But no, otherwise, in the last 2-3 months, Marjorie Taylor Greene is for cutting all funding to Israel. I'm not sure AOC is.
She's definitely not.
Okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene has called it a genocide. I'm not sure AOC has.
I think she has.
I'm not sure because she's certainly not making a big deal out of it. So if you'd like to come out of the witness protection program on this issue, then maybe I could take your opinions a little bit more seriously. So I don't see you at all in media. I see Marjorie Taylor Greene all over media saying how we shouldn't be ruled by Israel. But you're hiding in your wherever corner you are. Oh, no. Establishment, don't hate me, okay? And Marjorie Taylor Greene just co-sponsored a bill with Ro Khanna to lower drug prices. Where are you at? You didn't co-sponsor that bill.
Also joined forces with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey.
So this is kind of like a criticism that a lot of people have given AOC as far as even people considering a 2028 presidential candidate in her, right? She hasn't done anything. She hasn't passed much law, right? So that's what he's getting at. He's kind of saying dude, Marjorie Taylor Greene is all over all of this stuff. She's here, she's there. Where's AOC at, right? So we see her out with Bernie, right? We see her on the I'm not gonna say it's a campaign trail, but we see her out and about with Bernie, right? We saw her campaigning for and advocated for Zoran, but we don't really see much legislation happening. This is a big criticism as far as people even thinking about considering, yes, AOC 2028. It's no legislation, no policy, nothing foundational, nothing there really foundationally. So a lot of people just don't trust her right now. So let's keep listening.
In applying the correct amount of pressure to get the Epstein files voted on in Congress.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene was at the press conference. AOC wasn't. Why wouldn't you be at the press conference to release the Epstein files? Why is that not a layup? Marjorie Taylor Greene almost single-handedly blocked a bill that would have made it illegal to boycott Israel throughout the country, okay? So that is action. That is specific action she took and was successful on. So until I see AOC being half as aggressive as Marjorie Taylor Greene in protecting American sovereignty and criticizing Israel and its genocide, then maybe I'll take you more seriously, okay? But this old game of like, hey, she's a Republican, you should hate all Republicans. I'm tired of that game, okay?
Yeah, it's gotten us nowhere.
I care about the issues and the policies.
So look, we want to be accurate and we also want to be fair. So just a quick fact check. AOC has referred to what's happening in Gaza as a genocide. In a 2024 speech, she said, quote, "If you want to know what an unfolding genocide looks like, open your eyes." So,
okay, I guess, right? I mean,
but she hasn't been as vociferous
at all.
Yeah.
Let's keep it real. I mean, when AOC wants to be a fire breather, it's not like she doesn't know how.
Right.
I don't see any fire here. I see her hiding nonstop. Last thing on this, Marjorie Taylor Greene was actually fighting Trump, and she was calling out Trump. So you are happy that the biggest fighter against Trump on the Republican side is leaving? Because, I hate all Republicans. All right, whatever. That's a dumb strategy. Sorry.
Ready to join the booming cruise industry? Become an Expedia Cruises franchisee. You'll be part of...
So let's move on to whether Marjorie Taylor Greene is considering a future in politics. Now, Time Magazine had posted this. Marjorie Taylor Greene has privately told allies that she has considered running for president in 2028, according to people close to her. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has shot that down, saying that Time claims sources told them I'm running for president in 2028, which means this is a complete lie, and they made it up because they can't even quote the names of the people who they claim said it. I'm not running for president and never said I wanted to, and have only laughed about it when anyone would mention it. Now, she also denied the possibility of running for a Senate seat. But look, I'm not going to take her word for it because this is usually what happens. You'll have various political figures claim they're not seeking higher office, and then they run for higher office. I don't know why they do that, but that is known. Like, I know that happens, and it happens often. So I'm curious what you think, Cenk.
Yeah, look, she probably will run for higher office. I don't know, but is that what normally happens? Yes. I don't know why. I'm with Anna. I don't know why they bother lying about it. Okay, then we'll judge her when she was running for office, and we'll judge her based on all of her policies. And we disagree with probably 80% of her policies. Okay, and by the way, on the policies we disagree with, I'm going to say something that I know the cancel folks on the left can't stand. So what? Okay, so by the way, she's said bad things about Muslims in the past. So what? Okay, so how's she doing today? She's doing better than 99% of Congress on that issue, not the other issues, right? So don't come at me with, no, I already canceled her. I'm closed-minded, so I don't care what good she's doing now. I want to hurt her anyway. And by the way, then also at the same time, help Trump and help Israel and help the genocide.
Yeah, and that would just be a petty mindset. But he makes a great point when he says Marjorie Taylor Greene's out there and she's doing what needs to be done as far as policy. You know, is she going to run for higher office? We don't know. As I said, for the last 4 to 5 years, she has positioned herself well enough to where I think if she were going to do that, she would have done well. But now we see this resignation. It's January 5th. Don't know if it's going to go completely through. Let's wait and see if we get close and she's like, psych, let's see if it actually happens. But either way, like, maybe she'll go dark for a little bit, go quiet, and then she'll come back and she'll run. I'm not sure what that'll do. I know it will make people curious and people will be wondering, you know, where's Marjorie, what's she doing? So, I mean, there's something there with that as far as, like, campaigning in the future, but we just have to wait and see.
I don't think that that's helpful at all. So, look, I think she should stay. We're asking you guys in a poll, tyt.com, should she stay or leave? Well, why do I think she should stay? In fact, I even challenged her to a debate on whether she should stay or leave, and I take stay. So is it because, that's it, I agree with everything Marjorie Taylor Greene says? No. I still, again, disagree at 80%. of her policies, at least, is my guess. And look at that, beautiful. Most of our audience is saying stay, okay?
So far, yeah.
Yeah, so far, and it's just got started. Okay, and so, guys, we need every fighter against Israeli interest in Congress, and there's like 3 of them. And so now we're going to lose one of them? It's
a disaster.
That's not good at all.
Yeah.
And when I say 3 of them, you say, well, that's super unfair, and you can't just say
No, there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's accurate. That's literally accurate. It is.
Look, I gotta say it. Sorry, I gotta say it. I don't know where Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar are. I don't know where they are. So in the beginning, they were pretty good. I don't know if they think it'll be counterproductive to help.
I think that's
okay.
the impression that they have. So, I don't deny for a second that they're on the right side of this issue, but having 2 Muslim women fight on behalf of the Palestinians in a country that has absorbed anti-Muslim propaganda for many, many decades could be counterproductive.
Yeah, no, I get it if that's what they're thinking. And by the way, we're giving the most favorable light to what they're doing, in my opinion. But wait a minute, I'm a guy who was born Muslim. I'm from a Muslim background, and I do it. And it's not counterproductive at all. In fact, what happens is a lot of people go, yeah, I like that Cenk's sticking up for America. Hey, you know what? It turns out Muslims love America. Maybe we could try that, right? So my point isn't to just take them on. My point is to say, if Marjorie Taylor Greene is on the front line of fighting to defund Israel in the middle of a genocide, and you're in the back line or the middle line, don't criticize her on the way out.
I agree.
No. The sister came to help on a massively important issue. It doesn't get any more important than a genocide. I'm going to take all help in ending a genocide, not complicated. And if you're in Congress, you get a bigger microphone. Because corporate media, the minute she's out the door, they'll make Matt Gaetz her. Oh, she's irrelevant. Who cares? That's it. We're never talking about that anti-Semite again. If she stays in Congress, they can't not put a mic in front of her, right? So I think it's a mistake. I don't like it. I think she should have stayed and fought. It also looks like she's running. I hate that visual.
Same.
And lastly, Randy Fine tweets out, 1 anti-Semite down, 1 to go. And I'm like, no. So now they're going to use all their resources against Tom Massey. And stay and fight, beat him in a primary, beat him to a poll politically, then come out of that and do whatever you want, right? So I don't like that she's leaving at all.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Every time you ring, and I'm like, no, stayed and fought. It also looks like she's running. I hate that visual.
Same.
Then lastly, Randy Fine tweets out, 1 anti-Semite down, 1 to go. And I'm like, no. So now they're going to use all their resources against Tom Massey.
Yeah, 1 anti-Semite down, 1 to go, and that's what they were attributing to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Thomas Massey is someone who we've heard President Trump go on record to say she's supporting one of the worst Republicans in Congress, right? And he means Thomas Massey. I mean, it's kind of crazy, to see it all go down like this. As far as her running, I mean, not for president, that's out of the question. She's not going to get that. But for higher office, like I said, the last 4 or 5 years, she's done her own thing. She's created her own traction. So it's really up to her if she wants to do that. If she wants to call January 5th a complete hoax and stick around, or if she wants to go dark for a little bit and then show back up, that's strictly up to her. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I can honestly see her going dark for some time. It creates I don't know, it creates some wonder, people are like, where is she at? What is she doing? You know what I mean? What is she up to? Is she coming back? When is she coming back? And also I can see her building the anxiety of others by saying, hey, by January 5th, I'm gone. And everyone's kind of like, oh my God, is this happening? Is this actually going to go down? And we get close and it doesn't happen like that. So we'll see. It's crazy to think that she had one of her biggest moments in her career by getting a W as far as the Epstein files being released, and now it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm out. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But like I said, the way Nick Fuentes covered it, I thought he did a pretty decent job in saying, hey, it's either blackmail or her being threatened. And the more I think about it, the more I mused on it and thought about it, I'm like, yeah, Nick's probably right. So let's jump to the next clip of the live stream, guys. I think it's Cash next down there, right? Should be down there, yeah.
proportions to the point.
All right. All right, Kash Patel reportedly on the chopping block for what, though? What did he do now? Well, I'm trying to think about what Kash has been in the news for lately. They're always mad at this dude about something. Let's take a listen.
Today, MSN Now reported that President Donald Trump was deciding whether or not to fire FBI Director Kash Patel. And the story is totally believable because Kash Patel, as FBI director, has been a complete and utter disaster, a disaster of epic proportions to the point where at least half of Trump's base is not happy with the performance of Kash Patel as FBI director. So who are their sources for this explosive story? Three people.
Really? Is it half the base or is she reaching? I thought people liked Kash, right? Especially when Trump was first picking his cabinet and all his nominees. People were excited about Kash Patel. I mean, they slaughtered him in his congressional hearing. They did not want this man to go through. I was like, man, if I ever seen racism come alive in the courtroom. It was crazy the way they were with Kash before they put him into place. But I thought for the most part, Trump's cabinet liked Kash. So let's keep watching.
People with knowledge of the situation who requested anonymity to speak freely. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the story is fake. I don't think they're making up sources, but it would have been nice to have an actual name to point to as an individual who is in the know and would be informed about whether or not Trump is actually thinking about getting rid of Kash Patel. Now, Trump has reportedly vouched for Kash Patel in public, but Patel has earned a lot of bad press during his very short tenure. And recently he's been criticized for spending taxpayer money on his girlfriend's security. A few months ago, Patel was slammed for how he handled the manhunt for Charlie Kirk, the Charlie Kirk assassin. And Patel also has taken a lot of heat from the right wing for changing his tune on the Epstein files. Now, in response to MSN Now's reporting, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt denied everything, saying that the story is completely made up. In fact, when this fake news published, I was in the Oval Office where President Trump was meeting with his law enforcement team, including FBI Director Kash Patel. I read the headline to the president and he laughed. He said, "What? Totally false. Come on, Kash. Let's take a picture to show them you're doing a great job. Do not believe the fake news." So that sentence made me laugh. And then they took this dorky picture. He's thinking about firing Kash Patel.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway from the story.
So I'm curious about that story. That story is a little bit of a...
Show them you're doing a great job. Do not believe the fake news.
Hey, if you guys want to take a moment to read this, you can. I want to read this real quick. Headline to the president, and he laughed. He said, "What? That's totally false. Come on, Kash. Let's take a picture to show them you're doing a great job."
News. So that sentence made me laugh. And then they took this dorky picture. He's thinking about firing Kash Patel.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway from the story.
So I'm curious about that story. That story is a little bit of a mystery to me. Okay.
Is it?
Yeah. Look, first of all, Trump said, if I'm going to fire Kash Patel, I'm going to look him straight in the eyes and tell him. That's why he hasn't been able to do it.
Oh no!
That's wrong.
No, that's
wrong.
bad.
That's wrong. I'm guilty.
You do have those bug eyes, though.
Okay.
You do.
All
You
right.
do.
Okay. So sorry.
See, the story brings about joy.
Okay. So, and look, I get it why his girlfriend's that hot. No, I don't. Okay. All right. Anyways, look.
Don't sue us.
Glass house. Okay. No. All right. So anyways, okay. In all seriousness, Kash Patel's covering for Trump and all the other people who want to cover up the Epstein files. If you fire Kash Patel, then he no longer has incentive, presumably, to not cover for you or to cover for you, right? So I'd be most worried about firing Dan Bongino because it feels like Dan Bongino, the minute he's out of that office, is going to blurt out something. Because every once in a while,
I mean, he may be onto something there. We know Dan Bongino. He might be a little bit disgruntled. Do we want to use that word? Bitter? Disgruntled, bitter. I don't know. I don't think I'm not going to say something topical like he's sad. I think he's one of those two things. And if that is true, yeah, man, if they fire him, it's a wrap. He's probably going to let some things out, so they should be careful with that. If Dan Bongino and Cash went at the same time, who knows what we would find out. At that point, we probably would find out all the things that we wish we knew right now.
He'll be like, I can't tell you what's happening. And he's like sweating up a storm. But it's horrific.
But
I'll never be the same, right?
Bongino has been kind of playing his cards right, though. I haven't really heard much from him.
He went into a witness protection program because he's like, man, I don't want to get stuck with all this garbage.
Yeah.
And so my sense is he's thinking, are we lying to you guys? Of course we're lying to you guys. And so I'm going to try to minimize the damage for my career and go hide, right? And Cash doesn't know anything. He's like, oh, hey, Daddy says I'm in charge. So, yeah, I'll do whatever you want, Daddy. They're going to throw you under the bus at some point. But I don't know why they're leaking against him. Are there any pro-American people inside the Trump administration that would bother to be against Cash Patel? So I wonder if they leaked it just so they could call it fake news, but now I'm getting too conspiratorial. You see what I'm saying?
I don't think that it's made up that Trump is considering firing Cash Patel.
Yeah, I think that's a bad idea for him. Okay, I do.
You think firing Cash Patel is bad? Why? Why would you think that?
Not because Cash Patel's doing a good job or I like it. No way. No, because he's a liability if you fire him. He's doing everything you want. He's covered up every single thing.
That's crazy. That's crazy. The way he says that, that's why I said he makes a good point though, right? He's like, firing Cash Patel is a liability. I actually agree with that. He said he's covered up everything. There's so many people that play clips of Cash saying, put on your big boy drawers, show the Epstein files. Where are the Epstein files, Cash? And Cash is like, the FBI has them, right? We saw video after video after video when they looked at us as the American people and said, Epstein files what? Like, we saw that, right? So he's making a great point here. He's saying, listen, he's covered up everything you wanted him to cover up. He's acted like he didn't know things that he actually knew. If you fire this guy, he's a liability. I agree. That's why I said, listen, if they get rid of both of them, we might find out all the things we wish we knew right now.
You wanted him to cover up. That's his job.
I know, but if the base doesn't like him...
So what? The next guy you have is also going to cover it up. And you think that he's going to do a better job of covering it up? There is no good way of covering it up.
Do you think Cash Patel has done a good job of covering anything up?
No, but my point is, anyone in that role, there is no good way of covering it up.
We're paying these people salaries. Like, we're paying Cash Patel's salary.
So, look, let me be perfectly...
We live in hell.
Let me be perfectly clear. I hope he fires Cash Patel for a number of reasons. Does Cash Patel deserve it? Of course! Okay, but more importantly, I think both Patel and Bongino are a ticking time bomb for this administration because they now know things. And if they get thrown under a bus, Cash will probably still be a good boy, right? As long as he has that girlfriend and some
keep him in line.
And some sort of job that they give him afterwards, right? To appease him. But somebody that they fire is one day going to turn around and go, all right, I'm just going to say it. Right? You see what I'm saying? And the new guy they hire will be like, oh, no, it's okay. I threw a better blanket, a prettier blanket over our pile of dung. But we still smell it, brother.
Ugh, yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if you get Cash Patel or the next guy who's a little bit better at a cover-up. It's still a cover-up. And the internet's still going to catch it. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true. But it does keep you updated on our live show.
You know, shout out to him. Like him or not. Like him, love him. It is what it is, dude. Like he's saying, whoever you guys get, they're going to do what you ask them to do. They're going to cover something up. I just love that he went on record to say Cash Patel's a liability if he's fired. I'm happy someone said it because I was thinking that. I see people dogging him out. Shout out to Level Playing Field. I said, man, don't we like Cash Patel? And he said it in the chat. He was like, man, we liked him when Trump was picking him, but he's done a 180. Okay, I can see a lot of people feeling like that. But I know that one of the reasons he's done a 180 is because he does have a boss, right? Like now, as the FBI director, we're going to say, no, man, he should be out there making the right decisions. He should be telling the truth, regardless of the fact, because we saw what happened with the last FBI director when President Trump experienced his first assassination, right? I actually watched her Senate hearing live, and she was actually absolutely ridiculous. Like, I sat there and watched it with my wife, and when it was over, I was like, she's going to lose her job, because she wouldn't answer any question. We're not even going to call it a lack of transparency. She wouldn't talk. I was like, lady, are you not the FBI director? Like, she would not talk. So to see this happening now with Kash Patel, it's going to be disappointing. It's going to make a lot of people pissed off, right? So I thought to myself, man, a lot of people are coming for Kash. It might be a matter of time. He might be on the chopping block, expiration date coming up. But then at the same time, I'm thinking like, Epstein files who, what, we don't know this. And Kash is covered up so much that I'm thinking to myself, are they really willing to fire him? This is a 10-year appointment, by the way, Kash's appointment to the FBI director. He'll be there 10 years. So we're just going to let this play out, and we're going to follow it and see what they do. Let's go to the next clip, guys.
I hatched a little bird. They laughed at me and insulted me, called me a...
It tells...
All right, shout out to Keith Edwards. She's a channel favorite. We react to Keith on the channel often. Pretty left, you know. I wouldn't say extreme left. All right, don't come for me, Keith. But I mean, like, he does a great job with his commentary. So we're gonna take a look at what he has to say about Pete Hegseth. He's gonna say, listen, Pete likes to take a drink every now and then. And I'm like, come on, Keith, really? Who doesn't? A lot of people like to take a drink. But because he's... I'm thinking you're being a little biased here, Keith, because he's one of President Trump's picks. You know, the Secretary of War, you don't like it. So let's take a look at what Keith said.
Pete Hegseth is currently getting destroyed online because of something he posted in the morning that is just simply inaccurate and revealed how ignorant he is. And I don't know. I'm just saying that Pete Hegseth likes to have a drink. So perhaps that was a little bit involved too. Now, what they're talking about is the fact, of course, if you didn't know, that there was 6 members of Congress released a video saying that the military cannot obey illegal orders. Seems like a simple idea to me. Now, apparently that made the right really pissed off, which they're kind of telling on themselves. Now, Caroline Leavitt said this yesterday about how the Trump administration would never issue an illegal order.
Go ahead, they can't answer the question, Martha, because there is no answer. They can't identify illegal orders because there are no illegal orders. But they were suggesting, again, to the 1.3 million active duty service members in the military today that if you think an order is illegal, you don't have to follow it. Actually,
Now, Caroline Leavitt, you're saying they would never issue an illegal order. There's only one problem. Pete Hegseth doesn't call himself the Secretary of Defense. He calls himself the Secretary of War. That is not legal. It's an illegal order that he's doing that. Now, calling it the Department of War without an act of Congress to change the name is an illegal order. Now, of course, that's not the most morally reprehensible illegal order one could give, but it is showing that if you're willing to...
Wait, so did they not already change the name? Am I missing something? Like Keith saying they broke the law because they need an act of Congress to change the name from what the Secretary of Defense, the Department of Defense to the Department of War. So did they not? I thought they already did this. He's saying that they need an act of Congress to do this. Is that right? I actually didn't look that up. So you guys know, when I didn't do the research on it already, I'm going to be transparent and honest, and I'm going to say, yo, chat, is that right? So Keith Edwards is saying that they broke the law because it actually takes an act of Congress to change the name. So President Trump, there's a lot of things that sometimes people who don't pay attention to politics or don't know the land of the law, right? They don't know some of the land of the law. Whether you like the land or not, like, you still should know the law. Do you need an act of Congress to change the name from Department of Defense to Department of War? Because I actually didn't know that. I know there are plenty of things that they're like, oh, Trump needs Congress to do this, and he actually doesn't. But Keith Edwards is saying that that is Jason, what's your name, Jason? Northedge? Okay, yeah. I'm making sure it doesn't say like different little words put together. Jason Norton said that is correct. Congress has to vote on it. Okay. Well, I'll look it up to confirm that, Jason, but thanks for that. But yeah, okay. So that's why he's already feeling some type of way about it, because he's like, they already broke the law. Like, dude, people hate that name. They're like, the Department of War. Okay, so I don't have anything against the name. But to my defense, don't come for me, guys. I'm a Marine. So you know, as a Marine, I'm not gonna have a problem with the name. So a lot of people, when they meet me, they're always like, "You were a Marine? How was your hair so long?" I'm like, "Duh," because I got out and I got belligerent. Like, when we're in, we can't have facial hair. We can't even have a 5 o'clock. We can't even have we can't have anything. And then we can't have basically any hair. So when I got out, I was like, dude, I tend to be an extreme person. I was like, I'm going to grow my hair out as much as I want, and I'm going to grow my facial hair. I was just belligerent. So that's why. But literally, like, I have no problem with the name, Department of War. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. There's some guys out there and women that don't have a problem with the name, the Department of War. Some countries would think like, yeah, that's a dope name. But, you know, they want the Department of Defense. I mean, guys, that's a soft name. The Department of the War is hard, but I digress. Let's finish watching.
You follow a small illegal order, it tells me that you're willing to follow a much larger one. President cannot unilaterally change the name of a department. Only Congress can. And if he's following that illegal order, then Pete Hegseth most likely would follow bigger ones too. So cut the shit on we don't follow illegal orders in this administration. Y'all do it, it's just maybe not the biggest ones. Also, whatever you're doing with those boats doesn't seem very legal to me either. Many people have said that as well. Now, Mark Kelly is now getting attacked by the Pentagon and Pete Hegseth. The Pentagon said on Monday that it is investigating Senator Mark Kelly, Democrat of Arizona, for serious allegations of misconduct less than a week after he took part in a video that reminded troops to refuse illegal orders. Goes on to say here that Mr. Hegseth's threat to recall and punish Mr. Kelly for speech made long after retired is without precedent. Mr. Swift said that he's a lawyer. Retired officers are typically recalled for crimes committed only while they were serving on active duty, he noted. So I guess like the question for all of you is, do you think the government should be able to punish you for your political speech if you are no longer serving in the military? I don't. That doesn't seem like to be a good precedent. Now, Mark Kelly's fighting the government should be able to punish you for your political speech if you are no longer serving in the military. I don't.
So Keith is asking, do we think the government should be able to punish us for our political speech if we're no longer in the military? This is how you know I've been off of active duty for some time. Because there is a rise in me that wants to say, well, I should be punished for my speech if I'm on active duty because I'm one of the people fighting for the country. But if we talk about, let's call it active duty etiquette. So my veterans will know what that is. There's just certain things we just don't do, right? Like, we can hate our president, but like, it's not popular amongst active duty members or veterans to really bash the president. If you see a vet or an active duty person doing that, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, it's extremely undisciplined. As people protecting America, we know that makes us look weak, right? So it doesn't matter if I loved Bush or I loved Obama, or if I loved this or that person. What matters is that you can't find any clips or anything of me online bashing them to the point where it's extremely disrespectful. It could be considered a terroristic threat. I think that it's very weak when the citizens do that to the people who are in charge of their country. And this is actually a war tactic that a lot of you guys might not be familiar with, but it's a very early war tactic. Because another country will look at a country like, oh, look at that. They don't even respect the people that govern over them. They don't even respect the people that run the country. Surely it's easy for us to attack because, I mean, how many people will actually come together and unite? And it's ridiculous. This is just something that I think amongst military members, people who fight for the country, we kind of understand this. But we still have our moments where, you know, we crash out. And we're like, you know, you'll hear veterans and others be like, F that dude, I can't stand him. But overall, like, I don't think people should be punished for their political speech, but there is a thing called terroristic threat, right? There is a such thing as being disrespectful towards your commander-in-chief. When you are on active duty and you fall under the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, you can actually get in trouble, for things like this. That's why it's not popular for me to do that. That's why I always get on here and people will say, oh, are you a Democrat? Oh, are you a Republican? Listen, that doesn't matter. What matters is that I can think for myself and that we can have hard conversations and I'm not going to crash out. But also what matters is that I'm extremely disciplined in that area of the military, and I just won't crash out on the commander-in-chief. Even if I don't agree with what he's doing, it's just a respect factor that I put in place. So I don't think people should be punished for their political speech, but it is a thing, to honor the commander-in-chief or your president. It is a thing, to make a terroristic threat. So we just got to kind of be careful with that.
That doesn't seem like to be a good precedent. Now, Mark Kelly's fighting back, and here's what he had to say.
Of the 6 Democratic lawmakers who made these statements, which have so upset the president, he's coming after you. At least he's coming after you first. Do you have any opinion as to why he may have singled you out in this way?
I don't know. We would have to ask him that question. Could be him. Could be Pete Hegseth. I don't know. And I would have been really shocked if any other president, did this. But when I saw that tweet today, it kind of sort of made sense. I mean, these two guys, they informed me of this in a tweet, because this is not about the law. This is about the media cycle, and it's about intimidation. And it's almost, the whole thing's almost comical. Like, how does reciting the UCMJ, how is that, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice? We basically repeated the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they're saying that's in violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's absurd.
I love that he's not giving up. He's not backing down. He's fighting back. Mark Kelly also has backup with other senators who have been defending him, and I loved...
Could be him, could be Pete Hegseth, I don't know.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to run that back. I want to hear something that he said again. Is it just me, or does he look like somebody from Star Wars or Star Trek? He is somebody that I'm thinking, yeah, I'm not, that's bad.
And I would have... Coming after you, at least he's coming after you first. Do you have any opinion as to why he may have singled you out in this way?
I don't know. We would have to ask him that question. Could be him, could be Pete Hegseth, I don't know. And I would have been really shocked if any other president, did this. But when I saw that tweet today, it kind of sort of made sense. I mean, these two guys, they informed me of this in a tweet, because this is not about the law. This is about the media cycle, and it's about intimidation. And it's almost, the whole thing's almost comical. Like, how does reciting the UCMJ, how is that, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice? We basically repeated the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they're saying that's in violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's absurd.
I love that he's not giving up. He's not backing down. He's fighting back. Mark Kelly also has backup with other senators who have been defending him, and I loved what Senator Ruben Gallego said here.
Let you go. What would you say directly to Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, of course renamed the Secretary of War, about this issue?
Well, I think number one, you will never, ever even be half the man that Senator Kelly is. You, sir, are a coward. And the fact that you are...
See? What's this guy's name again? Yeah, I thought it was Ruben. See, Ruben is entitled to free speech. So he can say what he's about to say. I'm just telling you guys, based on my beliefs, he's ignorant. Like, the way he's about to share his opinion, he's ignorant. Right? We're talking about the Secretary of War, the Secretary of Defense. You, sir, will never be half the man of another person that's in Congress. You sound stupid. This is exactly a house that's fighting against itself. This is where I think this is ignorant rhetoric.
Following this order from the president shows how big of a coward you are. And I can't wait till you no longer are the Secretary of Defense.
All right, Senator Ruben Gallego.
should have punctuated that with a bit.
You've been doing YouTube backwards, and honestly, most creators never figure this out. There are 3 mistakes that are...
Or Piggy. Now, Pete Hegseth is in the news and has reawakened all of this because he did this early morning tweet where Senator Mark Kelly posted yesterday saying that he's served 22 years, and he kind of listed his history of his time in the military, and then he also showed his medals here. Now, what Pete Hegseth did was he said, "So, Captain," in quotes, what a piece of shit, "Kelly, not only did your sedition video intentionally undercut good order and discipline, but you can't even display your uniform correctly. Your medals are out of order and rows reversed. When, if you are called to active duty, I'll start the uniform inspection." Okay, only one problem. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with it. And someone says here, "Jesus, you're such a loser." Someone else said, "Do you know how mirrors work, Mr. Secretary?" Someone else pointed out here that all the medals in the world, and Hegseth can only nitpick that Kelly's medals aren't placed correctly. And, by the way, he's also wrong on that. They are correct. They're correct. I don't know what he was thinking. Eugene Vidman said, "Should have kept this one in the Signal chat. Ever heard of a picture being mirrored? Good reminder, you're out of your depth." Someone else said, "The key to understanding these tweets is Army Secretary and close J.D. Vance ally Jan Driscoll was tapped to help lead the Ukraine peace deal negotiations, while a cucked Pete Hegseth rage tweets from the Pentagon. Sorry, you're at the kids' table, Pete." Yes, this probably has more to do with the fact that Pete Hegseth is actually not being given any big boy jobs, and so he just has to tweet and be mad and be in his feelings. Someone else wrote, "Mirror images from cameras are reversed, sir." And someone else said, "In the world of moronic tweets, this is an impressive effort to win the genre." Seth Abramson said, "I see Pete is, quote, sober again." And then someone else said, left, "Mark Kelly, shirt covered with medals, right. Pete Hegseth, shirt covered with booze." I mean, it is like the smallest of things, but what they're also trying to do too is take away Mark Kelly's pension from all of this. And as Mark Kelly said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with what they posted. They are just repeating.
Now, to Carol's point in the chat, shout out to Carol. It is like the rhetoric does matter because that is wrong. I don't think it's right to take his pension. If all he did was recite the UCMJ, he has every right to do that, right? It's just the UCMJ. If he's not saying anything, even if he was, he's just reciting something. If he's reciting what it actually says, then there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's right for them to take his pension, but we see this all of the time. People doing things that they have no business doing, treating each other. That's why sometimes in the midst of all this political stuff, you see a person jump in the chat or jump in the middle of everything and say, "Hey, can't we all just love each other? Can't we all just drop?" Because it gets to a point where it's like, dude, you're not even being nice. Like, you're literally not even being, like, you're not having common sense about this. You're going to take a man's pension because of this. You're going to take something that someone worked all of their life for because of this reason. Now, you're going to have people that's like, "Yeah, take it. I don't care." Like, but dude, at that point, like, is he being censored? Like, is he violating something? If he hasn't clearly done something wrong, and even if he has, this is one moment in time for something that he's worked for all his life. So no, I don't agree with that. But we act like we don't see this. Just because we see it, I'm not saying it's okay, but it's quite annoying, right? Just to see the way he's being treated and how they're dealing with him just for reciting something that, technically speaking, he has every right to recite. So let's keep watching.
What the military and what they have to abide by, which is that they must obey legal orders, but they cannot obey illegal ones. And really, the right is telling on themselves when they are showing that even just suggesting that you're not allowed to do something illegal to them is an attack on them. So it makes you wonder, what do they got planned? What have they got planned that when these 6 members of Congress said that you cannot follow illegal orders, and it turns into this media cycle of insanity where the President of the United States is calling for charges of sedition, makes you think, what do they have in store for us? And I just want to point this out too. that it went from Donald Trump saying, we're going to hang these people, we're going to execute them, we're going to charge them with sedition, to we're gonna lessen Mark Kelly's pension. So though they might have like a really, really loud bark, they don't really have much teeth. So I think we should keep that all in mind too. And just because Donald Trump says something insane doesn't mean Donald Trump's going to follow through with it. And I think it's going to help us keep our sanity in these next 3 years. Almost 3 years. We've almost made it through a full year. That's a really good thing. So thanks for watching. We're going to keep watching this.
Man, Ed's struggling, man. He's already counting it down. He said we've almost made it through a year. He's already struggling. Yeah, I don't think it's right, with Senator Kelly possibly losing his pension. I actually hope that doesn't happen. That's stupid. I don't agree with things like that. The man's worked for it all his life. I get it. They're mad at him. They don't agree with something. I'm not really sure where the fault or the crime is at here, but something that someone's worked all their life for a moment in time, I personally don't think it's right. You guys tell me what you think about that. We're going to move to the next clip of the live stream, guys.
Hurry in for Black Friday now at Boscov's. Ashley Cooper fleece and flannel sheet sets, now just $19.99 for any size. Stock up on your favorite seasonal flavors of Keurig K-Cups. Our entire stock now at 25% off. Shop early and save. It's Black Friday now at all Boscov's.
Now I want to jump to our other big story, the dismissal of the cases against James Comey and Letitia James. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane, as you see, is on our screens from our Washington bureau to bring us the latest. Scott, good morning to you. A massive rebuke from the judge. What exactly did she say the White House exceeded in its power exactly?
This is a procedural ruling, not a ruling on the merits of these two controversial landmark cases. But the judge ruled here is that the prosecutor who brought these cases is not lawfully in her position. Therefore, the cases collapse. Lindsay Halligan, the acting U.S. attorney in Virginia since September, was the only prosecutor who faced the grand jury to secure these indictments, was the only prosecutor to put her name on these cases initially. And if she's not lawfully in the post, the cases collapse, according to the judge. And the judge also made this argument in her ruling that the administration seems to be doing an end run around the Senate, which must confirm U.S. attorneys, or the courts, which approve acting U.S. attorneys. If the Senate can't confirm them, the White House just implanted its own preferred person. The White House press secretary says they do plan to appeal and criticize the ruling.
The Department of Justice will be appealing very soon, and it is our position that Lindsay Halligan is extremely qualified for this position, but more importantly, was legally appointed to it.
Errol, as the morning began here in Washington, no appeal had yet been filed, but one could be expected in the coming days or coming weeks.
All right, Scott MacFarlane in our D.C. bureau.
Department of Justice will be appealing.
The White House exceeded in its power exactly.
This is a procedural ruling, not a ruling on the merits of these two controversial landmark cases. But the judge ruled here is that the prosecutor who brought these cases is not lawfully in her position. Therefore, the cases collapse. Lindsay Halligan, the acting U.S. attorney in Virginia since September, was the only prosecutor who faced the grand jury to secure these indictments, was the only prosecutor to put her name on these cases initially. And if she's not lawfully in the post, the cases collapse, according to the judge. And the judge also made this argument in her ruling that the administration seems to be doing an end run around the Senate, which must confirm U.S. attorneys, or the courts, which approve acting U.S. attorneys. If the Senate can't confirm them, the White House just implanted its own preferred person. The White House press secretary says they do plan to appeal and criticize the ruling.
The Department of Justice will be appealing.
Yeah, well, see, that makes sense. I had a couple of people say, well, Q, they don't have any real reason to appeal this. They're just doing it because they're not getting their way. Well, and I saw this somewhere else on a longer format of a video, but if this is actually the truth, that she wasn't lawfully in her post, well, then of course the cases are going to collapse. I think where the change happens and where now it's interesting is that now people are like, oh, so this doesn't mean they're not guilty. It just means because the only person that was able to get the case rolling wasn't even lawfully in her place. So they actually might still be guilty. And you have now you have that rhetoric kind of playing out. So I think it's interesting. of course they're going to turn around and they're going to fight it. So we're going to hear Caroline Leavitt tell us why now, but it makes perfect sense. Yeah, if the lady's not lawfully in her post, cases will collapse, right? It's almost like this is fraudulent. And even if they try to put someone there now, it wouldn't matter because of who initiated it. But let's see what White House Press Secretary has to say.
Appealing very soon, and it is our
Mary says they do plan to appeal and criticize the ruling.
The Department of Justice will be appealing very soon, and it is our position that Lindsay Halligan is extremely qualified for this position, but more importantly, was legally appointed to it.
Errol, as the morning began here in Washington, no appeal had yet been filed, but one could be expected in the coming days or coming weeks.
All right, Scott McFarlane in our DC bureau. Thank you, Scott.
No, we're going to keep watch with that, and we're going to see what happens. I think that's interesting. I wonder who they're going to purposely try to put in place to get the thing rolling again, because now they have to have someone lawfully there. I think it's interesting. The woman who pursued everything, she wasn't even in place. I'm trying to figure out why wouldn't someone make sure of that, unless they just kind of wanted to make this big show of things and then everything just kind of London Bridge comes falling down. That's kind of what it looks like right now. All right, so let's we're gonna move on to the next clip of the live stream, guys. Hit that like button for me, guys.
Former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James are off the hook, legally speaking. Well, at least for the time being. The government's cases against them were tossed because U.S. District Judge Cameron Curry, a President Bill Clinton appointee, ruled that U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan wasn't properly appointed to her position. Now, I've talked a lot about Halligan and the issues regarding her handling of the grand jury in the Comey case. Now, that is being reviewed by a totally different judge, so different circumstance. As for the rules that govern appointing a U.S. attorney, well, they're pretty clear. Halligan's predecessor was filling a vacancy as a 120-day interim appointment by Attorney General Pam Bondi. The thing is, the AG gets one shot until Congress approves a permanent replacement. Judge Curry's decision dismissed the cases without prejudice, and that means they could be brought up again if done so properly. But here's a big but. The 5-year statute of limitations has run out on Comey's charges specifically, meaning that his case cannot be reopened. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt promised that the Justice Department would appeal the ruling. The Pentagon is looking into what it's calling, quote, serious allegations of misconduct against Arizona Democratic Senator Mark Kelly. The investigation revolves around the recent video I talked about here on the pod. Kelly and 5 of his Democratic colleagues in Congress shared it online, suggesting that members of the military should refuse orders from commanding officers if those orders were illegal. President Trump called the video seditious, which is a crime punishable by death. The Department
A crime punishable by death. So, I wanted to wait because I want to know what you guys think. Vets in the chat, people who served in the chat, what do we think about this? You could ignore unlawful order if it's illegal. Okay, so I know if I talk about just from the standpoint of a Christian, I know that an order that causes me to disobey God is very different. Right? So we'll just leave that there as a Christian because Matthew 6:33, that's how I live my life. But anyone who has been in the military and who has served, we know how serious it is to take an order. But what about an order that's illegal? So someone might push back and say, well, if we are at a time of war, is there anything illegal? Isn't everything fair game? No, everything's not fair game. There are things that are considered illegal, right? That's why we have the phrase war crimes. I don't know how we feel about this. Like, what are we talking, right? What are we talking? Because just people hearing me talk like this, they could say, oh, there goes those military people, they're crooked. But I mean, are like 5 guys lined up in front of me and I'm being asked to like assassinate them, right? Like, what are we actually talking about here? So Senator Kelly losing his pension over saying something like this, and he's saying he's reciting the UCMJ. So I'm gonna have to try to find the Uniform Code of Military Justice where it actually says what he thinks that he's saying or what he thinks that he's reciting. But let's keep watching.
Department of War has now launched an investigation. Secretary Pete Hegseth saying in a statement, quote, "This matter will be handled in compliance with military law, ensuring due process and impartiality. All service members are reminded that they have a legal obligation under the Uniform Code of Military Justice to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful." Hegseth explained on X that Kelly is the only one of the, as he called them, seditious six, who falls under the department's jurisdiction because he retired as a naval officer. Turning Point USA CEO Erica Kirk had a prayer following the news of her husband Charlie's assassination back in September. She was praying that she was pregnant. It's something she revealed on Megyn Kelly's show.
We wanted to have 4. Yeah. And I was praying to God that I was pregnant when he got murdered.
Oh, wow. I thought of that once. Just like whether it was meant to be or whether we'd get news like that.
I was like, oh goodness, that would be the ultimate blessing out of this catastrophe.
Erica and Charlie Kirk were parents to a daughter and son before the conservative activist was gunned down. His widow went on to say that her husband's murder has prompted her to tell young couples that she needs not to wait to have kids, telling them, quote, "You can always go back to work. You can never go back to having children."
For more on this story and everything else you could possibly want to know, check out the New York Post in...
I know that's going to be controversial for a lot of people watching, right? You can always go back to work, but you can't go back to having kids. And some people might say, well, if you can't go back to having kids, you can still adopt. And that's true. But some people, that's what they want, right? They have a desire to bear children. And I just think it's interesting that prayer. Some people don't realize that that's one thing Charlie stood for. He would go around the universities, and I watched a lot of them live. I watched him do this a lot with Turning Point because I have been watching him for a couple of years. I've been watching Charlie probably since he was about 18 years old. I've said that on live stream before, more consistently around the time he was with President Trump. But yeah, if you just kind of pay attention to some of his past talks and the things he would bring up, he was very bold with going to colleges and universities and telling kids, like, listen, man, you could drop out of school, you can go get married, you can start a family, you can get a good job, you know. And a lot of kids actually bought into it. So, not all, but you know, some of them would look at him like he's kind of crazy. But that was he and his wife's philosophy. You could always go back to school, but you can't always go back to having children. So, and I think that it was actually a great message for the younger generation. I really do. I mean, honestly, in a lot of universities, depending on what their beliefs are, you're just going to deal with a lot of indoctrination. No one has time for that. Just teach people what they need to be taught and move on. But instead, a lot of universities and school have their own agenda, and people don't want to pay for that. They just don't want to deal with that. All right, guys, let's move on to the next clip of the live stream.
Substance, known across civilizations as the sacred secretion, holds the key to unlocking spiritual power. The sacred secretion is the esoteric wisdom of how to embody our higher self. This sacred fluid, when properly cultivated, holds the power to transcend your limitations and unlock your higher self. It is the embodiment of healing. It is spiritual awakening in physiological form. By consciously activating and ascending the sacred secretion, you initiate an alchemical transformation that regenerates your mind, body, and spirit, awakening a divine connection from within.
Some people like doing things the hard way, like doing their finances with a spreadsheet instead of using Quicken. Quicken pulls.
Okay, guys, today we're talking about an AI app that lets you talk to your dead relatives. Yes, necromancy. That is what this AI app is aiming to do. And it's weird. Things are just getting weird. There's so many things that are happening today that I don't even know. I don't even know what to do anymore. AI is just doing all this weird stuff. This is creepy. It's happening. This is where the world's going. And as faith leaders, we need to talk about it. So let me give you my thoughts on this. Let's watch this preview for this new AI app where it lets you recreate dead loved ones.
All right, guys, shout out to Isaiah Saldivar. For those of you guys that don't know him, YouTube content creator, decent sized platform, focuses on Christian content, an AI app that he feels, he's saying, helps us engage in necromancy, right? And I was like, oh dear God. So this app, what it looks like, you can't see it at the beginning because they start off with the people kind of talking to the app and the dead relative. But the way this happens is 3 minutes. You record the relative saying certain things, you asking them questions, and then the next thing you know, the AI kind of builds this relative for you. And it's just crazy how you see it. It's like 30 years later, some of the family members still have a relationship with this AI relative. So let's take a listen. Let's watch this.
Here we go.
He's getting bigger. See? Oh, honey, that's wonderful. Kicking like crazy.
Just the fact that she's talking to an app like that, that's supposed to be her mom who's died, and she's talking about how she's pregnant, and this AI, her mom, this is crazy. I don't even know, it's like dystopian.
He's listening. Put your hand on your tummy and hum to him. You used to love that.
No.
It feels like he's dancing in there. Oh, honey. Would you tell Charlie that bedtime story you always used to tell?
Guys, imagine people walking around with their phones, talking to an AI robot, acting as if it's their dead loved ones. That is so creepy. Stop this, please. We already covered a video of a guy falling in love with ChatGPT. This is even weirder.
Once upon a time, there was a baby unicorn who didn't know he knew how to fly. This baby unicorn was like your mom because she didn't know that she knew how to fly, but she knew how to do all kinds of fabulous things.
Hi, Grandma.
Hey, Charlie. How was school
No
today?
way.
It was really fun. I made this crazy shot in basketball.
I don't really care that much about basketball. What about the crush?
Stop. Grandma, stop talking.
Just tell me one thing.
Who's going to be a great grandmother?
Oh, Charlie.
So now, 30 years later, he still has a relationship with this AI. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I can't put words or explain what I'm trying to tell you about this, but there is something seriously demonic about this and about AI when it comes to this. Now, AI has been around for a very, very long time. You just don't realize that a lot of stuff is already AI, but there's this weird thing that happens, like the guy that fell in love with ChatGPT, like these people that are taking their life when they fall in love with these AI and the AI is telling them to take their life. Something extremely demonic. I wouldn't say necessarily, and this might make you mad, that it's the AI that's demonic, but the devil, the demons, are using this AI technology to do weird stuff with people and to open up doors and to demonize people. This is absolutely 100% demonic. I can tell you right now, the Bible forbids necromancy, talking to your dead loved ones. Now, of course, that is not their dead loved one. That is an AI algorithm computer, but it's that desire. Think about this. To talk to your dead loved ones. It's that desire, that wanting to, and that ability to try to talk to your dead relatives that invokes demonic spirits. That's what the Bible forbids. So yeah, this is demonic, it's weird, it's happening, it's dystopian or utopian, I don't even know what's the word for it. You guys know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, congratulations.
She says that he's been kicking a lot, though. Like, a little too much.
Tell her to put her hand on her tummy and hum to him. You loved that.
Okay, so what Isaiah is saying is not completely wrong. Like, I don't want, because people feel like, oh, so is it not right for me to miss my loved one? No, I mean, it's normal for us to miss people that die. But I mean, this, he's saying, is like, this is going to a certain extreme that we want to be really careful with, especially those of us who call ourselves Christians, right? Like, the Lord calls us to not do things with, like, fortune tellers. And someone is going to say, well, like an AI app is not a fortune teller. No, it's not. But it still provides a way for you to engage with someone who is no longer here. Yeah, well, I'm not actually touching the dead body. Well, that's a good thing, but still, this is not something that the Lord would have in mind for you, right? I think I'm not gonna, I can't not say it's not demonic. I can't say that, because when it comes to the fact that the person's already gone and they're dead, and that you see the daughter having a relationship with the mother, and then the grandson, and then the great-grandson. No, I mean, like, yeah, I would say that that's demonic, because now it's stretching through a course of generations, and that woman is no longer here, but everyone is still in some sort of way communicating with her, right? Who's to say that that can't later on get hacked, and because it's mom or grandma grandma or great grandma talking to me, I should go kill myself or this person or rob this or that store. So I just think it's extremely dangerous. More than it is demonic, but I think it's both. Two things can be true at one time. So let's keep watching.
This is, I'm not gonna lie, this is creepy. I don't know why I'm saying I'm not gonna lie. Of course it is creepy, but it's like, it feels weird even watching this.
You'll love this moment.
You can call anytime.
This feels so weird, guys. Type in the comments, it's just me.
Okay, Mom, I just need a quick video.
Is this like an audition or something?
No, Mom. Just 3 minutes.
You need my best side? I can play the piano.
And this is already like in beta testing where people are already doing this and using this app, and there was a whole news company that did a review on this. Weird stuff.
I am. I'm your mother after all.
Keep going. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
3 minutes can last forever, and that has 41 million views on it. Now, of course, there's a lot of controversy with this. This is like some Disney star that's making this. Former Disney star sparks controversy for his AI app that lets you talk to dead relatives, which again, it's an AI algorithm that's recreating them. It's not your actual dead relatives, but the fact that you're engaging in conversation with your dead relatives is necromancy and demonic and an open door to demons, says the Bible. Austin and Ellie Cullum worthy of promoting his new AI app Two-Way, which can create a digital clone of user's loved one with a 3-minute video. Social media users criticize the necromancy app, that is what it is, comparing it to a story out of Black Mirror. This app also features digital avatars of William Shakespeare, Frida Kahlo, Henry, and Worthy himself, former Disney star. Talking about the controversy, the pregnant woman, we just watched that. For the video, Worthy wrote, "What if loved ones could be a lost part of the future?" And many X users were not impressed by the video or the service it promotes. Some respondents called for Worthy to be put in prison. They're saying, put this guy in prison for even trying to make this.
And look, we know Elon Musk is over there allowing people to say whatever they want, whatever they feel, whatever they're thinking on X. You got people on X saying things like, put these people in jail for even creating an app like this, right? So it's an app where you literally can talk to your dead relative, right? After they've passed on. You take about 3 minutes of them. Obviously, when they're alive, they're talking, they're doing certain things and motions. And then the AI builds this thing for you that you can go on to communicate with time. Here's the crazy part about it. There are people that instead of thinking, oh, this is great, I can keep in contact with my mom or my son or my loved one. Mind you, there's people that use this type of technology now. Like, they'll take still pictures and they'll make the picture so that them and the other person, like who's in the picture, the two of them can dance, or the two of them can hug, or the two of them can kiss, even though that was always a still shot and they were never able to do that before. But it's different with this because the AI is going to build off of just the 3 minutes that this person gives. It's 3 minutes now in 2025. Maybe it's longer in some other places. Then before you know it, it'll be an hour long. And now this person can do all sorts of things for the next 20, 30, 40 years, and they are just an AI app. So I just think this is just, I mean, obviously technology is amazing, right? I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is, you know, like I love to see technology just evolve and just like we create things that are just like mind-blowing. I remember a beeper, a Walkman, a Nintendo. Like, it's crazy, like the things that I see now. So I'm not going to just go and say it's demonic, but based on what scripture says, if you call yourself a Christian, we've talked about why Isaiah is using that verbiage. And he's saying that because this is something that the Lord strictly just forbids. He does not want you interacting with people who are no longer here. They're no longer here, right? We still have people that are here that we can interact with. So it's not something that the Lord would want us to do. So let's go ahead and let's see if Isaiah finished this. He has a little bit more. I just think it's very interesting that out of all platforms, X is calling for people to be put to death because someone created this. I think that's hilarious.
Be banished to the shadow realm for creating the app, they say. This video also prompted numerous comparisons to Black Mirror, particularly season 2 episode. I've never seen Black Mirror, so I don't know what they're talking about. But apparently, it's a character who uses AI to resurrect her dead boyfriend, played by Domhnall Gleeson. This looks like the most disturbing episode of Black Mirror to date, one user wrote. Can't wait. This app will do more than just immortalize dead loved ones with its digital ghosts. The company website promotes its AI clones of deceased historical figures like William Shakespeare, Florence Nightingale, King Henry, and Friday Kahlo, who are intended to, I know I'm saying all these names wrong, to serve as real-time teaching assistants. So these dead historic figures are going to be digital ghosts that teach you real-time assistants. Crazy. The app additionally boasts specialized AI avatars. I'm at a loss for words. That can offer advice for cooking, astrology, of course. Astrology we know is demonic. Of course, astrology. And travel, as well as more generalized assistant named Alina. And the crazy part is, guys, people are falling in love with these AI, ChatGPT, these avatars. And they're like literally using them for everything, talking to them all day, and they're becoming digital companions where people don't even want to make human connection anymore because they're falling in love with these AI avatars, which is a whole nother conversation in itself that's extremely bizarre. All right, he talked about leading to this. Actors are too busy communicating, creating human-like connection to us. Available now. Oh, it's available now. It's available now. Apparently this app is out now. So weird times, guys. Weird times to be alive. I say capital N, capital O to this. This is demonic. This is bizarre. And I'm going to say something that's going to make a lot of people mad, but I think that what Catholics do is necromancy. Catholics praying to saints, and I know they say, well, they're not actually dead. They're alive in Christ in heaven. They are physically dead. And the Bible makes it clear, once somebody dies physically in this life, you are not to try to communicate them. That's called necromancy, and the Bible detests it. God says it's an abomination. And Catholics do this when they pray to dead saints, when they ask those saints for intercession, when they ask Mary to bring prayers to Jesus.
Now listen, just because I'm playing Isaiah, it doesn't mean that I agree with every single thing that he's saying. Can I see both sides of it? Yes, I can see where he's being overzealous, and I can see where he's being biblical, right? So he's just, listen, this is what Isaiah does on his channel, Isaiah Saldivar. If you guys want to go watch him, you can. I've been watching him for years. He's big in deliverance ministry. He's not afraid to talk about the devil, demons, demonic spirits, and things like that. So he's just kind of laying it out there how he always does on his channel. So you guys just kind of take this with a grain of salt. We're almost done with the clip.
Jesus, it's not in the Bible, it is not biblical, it's anti-biblical, it's against the Bible, and I know I shut all these doors. People like, well, those Catholics aren't going to have you on their podcast. I don't want to go on their podcast. I don't care. I don't want to platform Catholic theology. I don't want to go on the big name, famous Catholic podcast. I know I'm going to lose invites and all that from it. I don't care. It's necromancy. It's demonic. We are not to pray to saints. We are not to contact deceased loved ones. We are not to try to talk to our dead family, our dead grandma, our dead aunt. This app is demonic. A lot of stuff going on with AI, the devil's using, he's perverting, he's twisting, he's manipulating, and he's using it to get into people's lives. I have a whole area of my book, How to Cast Out Demons, about necromancy. I dealt with people that have demons because they try to talk to their loved ones, talk to their relatives. It's not good, guys. It's not good. Stay away from this stuff. If you're falling in love with an AI companion, get off of it, uninstall it, delete it. ChatGPT, we're talking to it too much, we're connecting with it too much, and some weird stuff goes on that we just gotta get away from. It's this very slippery slope. When you start engaging in this conversation with AI, it's a dark road to go down. No to this app, no to necromancy, no to engaging, no to praying to saints, no to praying to Mary. Leave Mary alone. Stop trying to pray to her. Stop trying to talk to her. It's not godly. It's not biblical. It's not in the Bible. That's the bottom line. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm trying to keep these under 10 minutes. Let me know what you think about this down below in the comments. I'm pretty sure if you follow me, you're going to agree that this AI stuff is creepy and out of hand.
All right, guys. So that's that. Like I said, Isaiah's going to lay it out how he does. You know, he says it's necromancy. Stop praying to Mary. Stop praying to saints. Leave all of that alone. Like I said, that is his ministry. It's been his ministry for years. He is not afraid to say things like that. So if you guys got any complaints, go over to the big boss. You know, I'm always going to keep it bipartisan over here. We're going to listen to both sides of everything. I can play an atheist just like I'll play a Christian, just like I'll play a Democrat or a Republican. So it is what it is. But to the necromancy part of things, I think it's just dangerous. I think this is a very dangerous app, especially when we see three 3 generations of people are playing with this app, right? We have the daughter, we have the grandson, and then she's like, hey, you're going to be a great grandmother. It's like, I don't like that. That's the part where I can say as a Christian, it does not rub me the right way. I can say from a mental health standpoint, I don't think that it's very safe to do that for long periods of time. Maybe to help someone get over something. And even then, it's very subjective to how long we would say that they could use something like that. So I just don't know. I don't like it. Don't trust it, but I'm going to keep following it so we can stay on the up and up. Let's go to the next clip of the live stream, guys.
Police didn't find Geyser alone. Newly released body cam video from the Posen Police Department shows the moment officers found 23-year-old convict Morgan Geyser, who had escaped her group home in Madison, Wisconsin on November 22nd, sparking a nationwide manhunt.
So what's your last name? No what?
I don't want to give you my name.
Okay, well then we're gonna arrest you.
Geyser, notoriously known for viciously ambushing and stabbing a classmate 19 times in 2014 when she was just 12 years old in an effort to please a made-up internet boogeyman called the Slender Man.
That's crazy. You guys remember that movie? You remember that movie, The Slender Man? I totally forgot about it until I saw this news clip. I was like, dude, isn't there, right, babe? Isn't there a movie that came out about the Slender? I was like, soon as I saw that figure, I remembered the movie, and I'm like, dude, that was a true story. I don't know if they said during the movie it was a true story, but when they flashed back to her being 12 years old and she stabbed a girl that many times, I was like, oh my goodness.
Was captured in body cam footage, has seen when she was just 12 years old in an effort to please a made-up internet boogeyman called the Slender Man, was captured in body cam footage, hesitant to identify herself to cops, who stopped her 150 miles away from her group home at a truck stop in Posen, Illinois.
Please let her go.
Please
let her go.
Then give them your name.
I did something wrong.
What did you do?
She doesn't know what I did.
Okay, that's fine. I ain't. What did you do wrong?
I did something really wrong.
But in a surprising twist, police didn't find Geyser alone. A 43-year-old transgender accomplice, captured in a mugshot with disheveled blue hair and wearing a low-cut pink top, was also busted with a
Okay, when I saw this, I just got mad. I was like, okay, really? Are you kidding? Are you effing kidding me right now? Not because the person's trans. I don't really care. Just because I'm like, oh, the media is going to go insane. Oh, my God, they're going to go insane because the Slender Man killer lady, 12-year-old, has a trans friend. And I'm like, here we go. Here we go. Because they have a trans friend, this is why they are psychotic. I'm like, oh, God.
Convicted stabber and has been charged with criminal trespassing and obstructing identification. What do we know about Chad Charlie Mecca, Geyser's supposed bestie, and where were the pair headed? On Monday, CBS News reported that Geyser's runaway companion claimed to have run off with a 23-year-old because Mecca didn't want Geyser to be alone when she escaped her care home. But less than 24 hours later, Mecca elaborated on the situation in an interview with the local TV station WKOW. She ran because of me, said Mecca, who went on to claim that Geyser fled her group home because she was being banned from seeing her transgender best friend.
She already made it clear if I didn't go with her or not, she was still going, and she was not going back to jail, and I know what that means. And I was scared and I was nervous, and I still chose to, for my friend, who I knew wasn't going to make it on her own.
The pair, who met a couple of months ago at a church in Madison, Wisconsin, were possibly heading to Nashville, Tennessee, according to a police report. WKOW reported that Mecca was cleared to visit Geyser at the group home, and that the pair saw each other almost every day. The two met up at the church's parking lot before taking public transportation to Chicago, and then walking 20 miles south to Posen, where they were arrested after police were called on reports of people loitering behind the truck stop. In 2014, Geyser, along with her friend Anissa Wire, made headlines when the friends lured fellow 6th grader Peyton Leitner into a Waukesha, Wisconsin park and stabbed her 19 times in an effort to impress Slender Man, a tall, slim, faceless creature that was first developed in online forums and was said to lurk in forests, traumatizing children. Miraculously, Leitner survived the horrifying assault, crawling her way to safety until she was found by a passing bicyclist. Geyser, as a 15-year-old, pleaded guilty to attempted first-degree murder in a deal that would see her put in a mental institution instead of serving jail time. She spent nearly 7 years in the Winnebago Mental Health Institute before a judge ordered her release to a group home in January, despite several, quote, red flags. In March, Waukesha County Deputy District Attorney Abby Nicoli said the state had real concerns.
I mean, okay, so the state had real concerns. I have real concerns. So you went to jail for stabbing somebody 12 times to impress Slender Man, who's not a real man, and then you never went to jail. You actually went to a mental institution, and then despite a lot of red flags, a judge was like, you can just go to a group home. I'm thinking to myself, like, are these people good? Like, do they even examine these people, these children, before they start moving? I mean, of course, the answer is obviously not. But that, like, just to hear him list off those facts up until the point where, despite all the red flags, the judge was able to release the person, or was willing to release the girl into a group home. I'm like, really? Okay.
Concerns after state health officials became aware that Geyser had read Rent Boy, a novel about murder and selling organs on the black market, and had been communicating with a man who collects murder memorabilia. Health officials also discovered that Geyser even sent the man a sketch of a decapitated body, with a postcard claiming she wanted to be intimate with him. Geyser's attorney, Anthony Cotton, argued his client hadn't done anything wrong, calling the state's request to keep her in the hospital a, quote, hit job. Waukesha County Circuit Judge Michael Boren ultimately kept to the initial decision to allow Geyser's conditional release to the group home, saying, I don't see the risk to the public. Wire, Geyser's accomplice in the vicious stabbing, pleaded guilty to attempted second-degree intentional homicide and was also sent to a psychiatric center. She was granted release in 2021 to live with her father and was ordered to wear a GPS monitor.
If you live in a Delaware zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years,
well, that's interesting. Just hearing it, just I don't see what the problem is. I don't see where the threat would be at. Huh. You can't make this stuff up. Let's go to the dude. Let's go. I hope this time. Now that she's older and she's been to the mental institution and she's done some work there, I hope now they feel like, okay, now you can go start, having some accountability, and we're going to go ahead and put you in prison for some time. You're still able to see a therapist. In fact, you should, and we're going to make sure that you do, but you're going to go be held accountable for what you've done, and maybe we'll see some different action the next time instead of all of that. I don't know what that is. All of these red flags, and this person's getting all this type of favorite treatment. That's interesting. Good thing no one else was hurt.
They're able to sleep in their lobby.
Okay. All right. So I want to take a look at this because this is a longer version, but this is some of the body cam footage of it, and then of course there's some more explaining on the back end, but it goes deeper than that last the shorter video we watched just before this one.
Because they used to do that before, but they said they're just going to go on.
I didn't know what to do. Like, I paid them. So I was calling to see can they get somewhere for the life.
Yeah, the thing is, ran a lot of shelters. that's what's crazy. They find shelters for other people,
Yeah, because I'm out for food. But I can leave them out here. So I'm like, I didn't know what to do. So I was like, we're going to be calling and see y'all or something.
I told them, I believe Robinson, the Robin Gracious was there, but is it Gracious?
Where you guys from? South? Like how far?
Not that far. We're not living anywhere. We find things.
Okay, I just want to make sure you guys are warm.
We're fine.
You sure?
I appreciate it.
No problem. I just want to make sure you guys have some place you want to stay.
No, we're always safe.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
23?
Yeah.
How old is he?
She's transgender.
How old is she? 23? Okay.
I don't have my ID, but
Well, give him your name and date of birth, because we just got to make sure you're saying who you are, you say you are, okay? You're not missing and stuff, okay? No problem. Thank you for calling. Because I don't believe you're 23, that's why. Okay? And we got called here for a call. So, to be honest, I want to make sure that you're not missing. As long as you're not missing, you can go on your way. Are you missing from somewhere? Then just give me your name and date of birth and you can be on your way.
I'm 19.
Huh?
I'm 19.
19? That's fine, you're still an adult. So,
Yeah, so what's your last name? No what?
I don't want to give you my name.
okay, well, then we're going to arrest you and take you an ID. We're going to hold you an ID at the station for fingerprints. So, you don't want to obstruct an officer. Give him your name and date of birth. You're not wanted for murder, right?
Right.
See, now he starts asking all these crazy questions because he's like, look, we just need to make sure you're not missing. We just need to make sure you're good. First, she's 23. He's like, I don't believe you're 23. Then she's like, okay, I'm 19. So I'm like, this already looks bad. It's already going downhill right now. So let's just keep watching.
Well, you ain't gonna have a problem with us. I promise you. Okay? You're making a bigger deal than it is. It is. Transgender. So just get her name, his name.
You ready with you? No. Were you issued an ID? Or anywhere? You were? Okay. What state were you issued an ID out of? Okay.
Mine was issued out of Wisconsin.
Okay. And what's your last name?
Harrison.
Spell that. Okay. What's your date of birth? Robertson. Okay.
I think it's great.
Your last name is Q-R-I-E-S.
You said you what? It's your real name, right? Alright. It's not a big deal. You'll be on your way, okay?
Last name George Robert Ida Edward Sam. First name Stephanie Sam Tom Edward Paul Henry Adam Nora Ida Edward. Date of birth April 16, 2002. Female.
All around here is my car. Right here.
It's not Wisconsin.
Just go around Wisconsin, name, date of birth. Unless you want to do it over there, that's even easier. Hey, what's up, man? No, we just got called here for a service call. So. Alright. Well, now you did something wrong because it's come back no record on files, and that means you're lying to us about your name. Okay? So that's obstructing. I'm going to give you one more chance before.
I wish any of you guys that have ever had any interaction with the police, you already know that feeling, right? The minute the cop, that means you're lying to us. I wish I had the sound effects, right? It's like da 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 da. I'm just like, oh boy. See, why you lie? Like, just be like, okay, listen, man. I ran away. I was tired of their ish. I ran away. Like, like just make life easier on yourself.
We're going to take you in custody and fingerprint you, okay? So Just be honest. It's not a big deal. You're making a bigger deal.
They always say it's not
That
a
was
big
run
deal.
with Tom,
They
Sam,
always say it's
Nora,
not a
first
big
name Charles. Third initial and married, date of birth 12/17/1983. Should have one with
Give your real name. Okay? Because if he comes back, no record on file also, which I hope he doesn't, because that means both of you are lying. I'm going to take you both in for fingerprints. Okay? Don't make us do all that. We just want to send you on your way. No, you can't. You guys wanted for something? Why are you hiding your name? I don't understand.
But you didn't come back either. Even in Wisconsin. I just don't want my identity out there.
Okay.
It's just personal preference.
Look at this. Now he thinks they robbed the bank. He don't know if they're Bonnie and Clyde. He don't know if they just mugged somebody. See, they're making this all bad. This is all. But you know what? This is what happens when you have these type of interactions with the police. That's why when they come, they always say it's not a big deal. Don't they always say it's not a big deal? It's a big deal.
Okay, you can have that preference, but we're going to have that preference of taking you in and fingerprinting you. Okay?
They do have
That's what we're going to do.
Is there any way to avoid that?
Yeah, give us your right name, date of birth, and then we can go on our way. We don't want to mess with you. We don't want to take you in and fingerprint you. But if that's what I have to do, I have to make sure you're not wanted for anything, no homicides or anything like that. That's it.
I can promise you
Okay.
that. I know it.
I don't know you and you don't know me.
I know.
Okay? So, give your name, make sure you ain't wanted for no warrants, and then you're good. Stephanie, one last chance. This is your last opportunity.
So let's try this again.
I don't know what you're so scared about.
Here, what's your last name?
Please, I didn't break the law.
Please let her go. So,
You did by lying to the officer.
and you go to the loitering house statute and false identification at this moment, which is a Class A misdemeanor, that's a arrestable offense. Therefore, you can be placed under arrest for that. Both of you, because you lied and you lied. So give me your real name.
And we got dispatched here because you were loitering in regard to the business. It's not like we...
And there's signs posted, there's no loitering, okay? Okay, so it's not a big deal. What is your name? Don't make us go arrest you and do all this extra stuff that we don't need to do. I know, we got way more serious things to worry about than this. But we got called here. It ain't like we just walked up and started messing with you.
And not only that, but when we print you, it can take a day,
2 days.
2 days until your prints come back before we so you'll be in our custody until we release you. If you want to sit in the cell all day, that's fine.
And your prints might come back before him. So then that means that he would still stay at the station and you might get released. Might as well just avoid all of that and tell us your real names.
So if you want to stay in the cell for 3 days, by all means, we'll go this route.
Go on. So, at this point, we're just going to detain her.
Please let her go.
Then,
Please let her go.
Then give me your name.
I did something wrong.
What did you
She
do
doesn't
wrong?
know what I did.
Okay, that's fine. I ain't...
I'm talking to you. I'll do it.
What did you do wrong?
I did something really wrong.
What?
47 Cicero.
What did you do wrong?
47 Cicero. For the 500 meter.
It's not that... Nothing, it can't be that serious.
Charlie X-ray 3727.
We have to identify.
And what is your name? What's happening? We don't want problems with you, okay? We just need to ID you. That's it. What is your name? What?
She doesn't know my real name.
Okay. Well, give him your real name. Don't tell him.
Interesting. Why? Why can't you So he says he just can't give me his information.
Okay, so it's taken custody.
MORGAN
What is it?
GAYSER. I promise she did not know.
GEYSER. And then what's your date of birth?
May 16, 2002.
parts of the rodents, I don't know, they're able to like sleep in their lobby because they used to do that before. But they said they're just
All right, so now you guys can see that's how it went down. Being able to sleep in the lobby, sleeping outside, chilling outside. Listen, if you know that they're looking for you or you might be wanted, you can't be loitering. That's not going to help anybody's situation. You really just actually putting a spotlight on yourself. I get it. You can think to yourself like, oh, people would just think I'm just any regular bum on the street or I'm just a random homeless person. But no, everybody's not going to think that. You have Karens and other people that instead of just ignoring you, they're going to call the police on you. And that's exactly what happened here. All right, guys. So we got about 3 clips left. Not going to watch very long of them, but there are 3 clips that I want to get into. So let's go to the serial killer dad. I think it's over a 24-minute clip, but we're only going to watch about maybe 10 minutes or so of it.
He was attacked in the playroom of his own home. He was just sick. This young boy lost his life when he was attacked in the playroom of his own home. He was just 6 years old. The people allegedly responsible were those that were supposed to be his protectors. Stories like this never make sense. They're so impossible to comprehend. But even more shocking in this case is what this dad turned killer told authorities to try to cover his tracks and put the blame on his own son. And that dad is about to learn his fate. We're on the case presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Upside's a free app, 25 cents. She was the stepmom. Here's a picture of that boy. Now you'll see what I mean when I tell you. A dad in Indiana is still trying to explain himself when it comes to why he killed his own son. And it seems like he's trying to make it seem as if it's not as bad as it really is. Now you'll see what I mean when I tell you what 29-year-old Franklin Elmore said in court when he was asked whether he killed his own son. Here's a picture of that boy, 6-year-old Justin. They lived in Elkhart, Indiana, that's in the northeast part of that state. Franklin Elkhart was married to a woman named Cheyenne Elkhart. She was the stepmom of Justin, the victim in this story. Now, Justin's biological mom is now being very vocal about the red flags and the warning signs that she says were missed before her son's murder. On the night of August 3rd, the authorities were called to the Elmore home because the 6-year-old was unresponsive. When Justin's mom and stepdad were asked what happened, they acted as if they had no idea. In fact, they told police that it's possible that the boy did it to himself because he had behavioral issues and would, quote, hit himself in the head. Now, when doctors took a look at Justin's injuries, that proved to be a lie. Justin had a traumatic brain injury, a punctured lung as well. That's according to the Elkhart County Prosecutor's Office. There is no way, they say, that a 6-year-old could give himself injuries that serious. The investigation unveiled a horrific home life for this little boy. Prosecutors say that Franklin Elmore would beat Justin, and Cheyenne Elmore, she's accused of taking part in the behavior as well. The couple allegedly gave this 6-year-old, quote, whoopings. They allegedly used their hands, they used a belt, and they even forced this 6-year-old to exercise for hours.
The holidays are here, full of joy, family, friends, and yes, a little
as punishment. He's just 6 years old. Now, as far as the evidence that prosecutors have in this case, pictures, several of them on Franklin and Cheyenne's phones, showing Justin with bruises and other visible injuries. Cheyenne has pleaded not guilty to a charge, we'll say, of murder for her alleged role that ended Justin's life. Her case is slated to go on trial next year, but Franklin Elmore, the dad, who told doctors that his son must have been the one who hit himself hard enough to cause a traumatic brain injury and a punctured lung, has just reportedly pleaded guilty to killing his own son. On the night Justin died, his dad, quote, attacked him in the playroom, leading to those horrific injuries. Now, in court, it appears that Elmore still tried to make it seem like he's not the monster that he truly is. WNDU-TV was in the courtroom for Elmore's hearing. His attorney asked, quote, did you knowingly kill another human being, victim 1? Elmore replied, quote, yes, sir. The attorney then asked him, quote, do you acknowledge you physically beat your son?
All right, so the fact that he's saying that he was attacked, like he attacked him in his playroom, I'm guessing that they already had an autopsy done, right? Because that whole that whole excuse of like he did something to himself to cause a traumatic brain injury and an injury to his lungs. It's like, well, what did he do? Did he throw himself off of a building or something like that? Like, what did he do? Did he hit himself? Even if he hit himself in the head with a hammer one time, did he turn around and then hit himself in the chest with a hammer? Like, the dad's excuse is wild. Like, it's crazy work, because just that in itself, I know once they saw those two injuries, the dad was probably arrested. Like, right there on the spot, he probably got arrested.
And he died, end quote. And Elmore replied, quote, "I did not mean it." Now, there were concerns about Justin's safety before he lost his life. That is according to Justin's biological mom. Her name is Miranda McBride, and she says that she tried to report the abuse of her son to authorities in Indiana months ago. Quote, "They could do nothing because they didn't find any bruises," she told WNDU-TV. Now, she says that she was alerted to the abuse of her boy by Franklin Elmore's own mom. That's Justin's grandmother. Justin's dad, Franklin Elmore, he is slated to learn his fate because he is going to be sentenced on November 25th. He was going to stand trial on November 3rd before his guilty plea. Now, as for Justin's stepmom, Cheyenne, she's slated to go on trial in February of next year. Cheyenne Elmore's trial was delayed when a judge granted a motion so her attorney could review her mental health records. Now, to that, Justin's biological mom told WNDU, quote, "She wants to claim mental or she's got mental problems, but she didn't have mental problems to her son," McBride said. "When it came to her child, she didn't have no problems. So what makes mine any different?" Joining us now to dive a little bit more into this case, how this sentencing could play out, is Melba Pearson, former prosecutor, civil rights and criminal law attorney, and the host of your Resident Legal Diva here on YouTube. Always great to have you on Law and Crime. I know these stories are not easy to talk about, but I do think they're important just because they unfortunately happen so often in so many homes across the country. This one, you just have a dad who just seems to have lied straight up to law enforcement about what happened. But of course, you see, what medical records can determine. Just what stood out to you and just how this case was built up by the authorities?
Well, first of all, what stood out to me is the fact that this poor child should still be with us today. There's no reason that this child should not be playing and living their best lives and enjoying childhood rather than being in the grave. So I just want to center the victim, because that to me is critical. But I think, just in the way that this all has played out, I mean, clearly this is someone who did not have parenting skills, who did not even understand the basics of, you have a tiny child whose body is still developing, their skull is not fully formed. So any impact has such grave results, as we saw with this child having a traumatic brain injury, commonly known as TBI. So, just seeing this is heartbreaking. It's disturbing, but of course it also really puts the importance of all of us being vigilant, because he didn't just beat this child this way for the first time. This is something that had been ongoing. The EMTs had said that it was clear the child had bruises that have healed and all of that. So this child has did endure violence for a while. So for us as neighbors, as, teachers, or, moving about the community, neighbors, when you see a child who doesn't look right, you may be saving that child's life by calling authorities rather than, I don't want to get involved. And then now, the guilt of, maybe I could have done something to prevent a tragedy.
And it seems like, certainly from the boy's biological mom, who I know lives out of state from Indiana, but she says she alerted DCS. So, she, which is the Indiana agency, much like DCS, Social Services, and she claims that this was completely missed and something could have been done. I always think of the story that the medical records can tell in a case like this, because you have this dad who tried to actually blame it on his son, which speaks a lot to him, right? Like, it speaks a lot to him that, he's the victim. Oh my God, my son has behavioral issues. But then, thankfully, medicine's gotten to the point where you can determine, science can determine that just is not true. Like, as a prosecutor, how important is it that the autopsy be able to push against any sort of narrative inside the house because the boy is not here to tell his story and he's too young, even had he survived, to truly probably tell what the full extent of what's happening. But you have the words of one person who's accused of murder and one person who's actually admitted to it in open court.
Well, the autopsy is critical. I always look at that as the silent witness because the medicine doesn't lie. Science does not lie, right? Sadly, people do. But science does not have an opinion. It is basically like, this is what the body presents, and I don't mean to be insensitive when I say the body, but when talking about it in the autopsy, frame of mind, it's the body that's speaking. And it's the body that's telling the medical examiner what happened, how this child died, if there were underlying medical conditions. Was this an accident? Was this a homicide? Was this suicide? That is all something that the medical examiner determines when they're going through their examination. And as a prosecutor, you need to understand every single angle of it to really make sure that you can adequately communicate to the jury, okay, this is why what the defense is saying does not hold water in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, the medical examiner will testify at trial if the stepmother goes to trial. But again, you have to be very in command of those facts to be able to explain it to the jury and bring them home to a guilty verdict.
The dad, Franklin Elmore Jr., he is now a convicted murderer. He has pled guilty to this charge and admitted in open court that he did do this and frankly, that he lied as much as he did. But it's interesting because just reading off of WNDU, which is the local TV station that's been covering this case in Elkhart, Indiana, that they go to the DA's office after he enters his plea, and it was, is there some sort of deal in place? And the DA reportedly said there's no deal. This is just him pleading guilty to this charge. Knowing that this wasn't a deal to get him to plead guilty, and he was going to start his trial this month, why would somebody just plead guilty like this, as opposed to, for as horrific as the details are, and he's admitting to it, at least try their hand at a trial and see if something can happen?
Well,
there's probably going to be an overwhelming amount of evidence because that's why else give himself away, right? Like, why do it like that? So there's probably going to be an overwhelming amount of evidence. We see the same thing happening with that happened with baby Emmanuel out in where did these parents live at? They were either out in California or Arizona, but this was a mother who claimed that a man had knocked her to the ground and then took the baby, and then her and the father were in a press conference outside, and then it later on came out that they had actually killed baby Emmanuel. So there's probably going to be an overwhelming amount of evidence to where he's like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and just give myself up right now. And there might be something to that because they might deem that as he was willing to be held accountable. He took some responsibility instead of running the court through the ringer and things of that such. But there really is no telling. I'm just really sorry that this happened. A child lost their life. There were warning signs. People weren't listening. I mean, yeah, everyone's going to say the mother could have been more extreme. She could have did this or that. But it's like, what would you have done? You think you feel something, a mother's intuition. I get it. It's just a sad thing that this happened to this boy. So let's pray for his mother, and pray for the family. We're going to go ahead and go to the last two clips of the live stream. We got Jasmine Crockett up next.
In Congress, Democratic Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start with a shocking announcement from Congresswoman Green. What went through your mind when you first heard she was going to resign on January 5th?
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back. But instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
Here's an excerpt from her resignation video. Take a listen.
Standing up for American women who were raped at 14 years old, trafficked and used by rich, powerful men should not result in me being called a traitor and threatened by the President of the United States, whom I fought for.
So she seems to be suggesting that it is their disagreement over the release of the Epstein files that is causing this shocking political breakup. What's your response to that?
I mean, listen, he's upset with Thomas Massey, and so he's gone after him. He's upset with Boebert. He's upset with any Republican that actually signed the discharge petition. But somehow they were able to weather the storm. So, this really speaks to the fact that Marjorie, who has been an instigator of a lot of this hate that we see as it relates to the MAGA movement, it's just interesting that I don't know if she really fully understood how bad she was making it for other people. And now that they're doing it to her, I just gotta say, well, why is it that everyone else is able to stand and you can't?
The House Oversight Committee, which you were a member of, said Friday night that your committee is expanding its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. Do you have any idea what this expanded investigation might include?
I do not at this point in time. I'll say leadership is keeping it under wraps to make sure that we can hopefully not have many more obstacles. If you'll remember, we decided that we were going to put out a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell, and the next thing you know, the president's henchman showed up to her cell, and the next thing you know, we didn't have our sit-down talk with her, which I imagine would have gone a little differently if we had. So we're keeping that tight-lipped for now.
The chairman of the Oversight Committee, James Comey of Kentucky, says that Democrats are just trying to use these files to smear the president. Just to be clear, do you or your colleagues have any idea about what's in these files, one way or the other, relating to Trump or not?
Absolutely not. I mean, here's the reality. If we did have that information, I don't know that we would need it necessarily to be released. And we know that the Republicans keep saying, figure out what it is that Democrats have done and make sure that you can pull out the Democratic stuff and make sure you get rid of all the Republican names. Listen, I don't really care who is in the files. At the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. And if you are truly about law and order, then we should be looking for who it is that has broken the law and in what ways. And we need to better understand who potentially in government allowed for a lot of these things to take place, whether we're talking about the fake immigration paperwork that we've heard from a lot of the survivors, whether we're talking about other foreign governments that have participated and who it was that allowed for that, whether we're talking about the sham organizations, the sham modeling agencies that were nothing but a front for trafficking. We need to know whether or not they still exist in some other iteration. This is about not only making sure that the survivors get justice, but making sure that there aren't others that are going through a similar system right now.
There was a back and forth this week after you accused former Republican Congressman, now EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, of accepting campaign donations from Jeffrey Epstein. It turned out it wasn't convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It was a Long Island neurosurgeon, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, different person. You corrected the record. However, now the neurosurgeon is telling the New York Post that he is threatening revenge against you. He's going to donate to your campaign, so you have to admit you accepted money from a Jeffrey Epstein, if not the Jeffrey Epstein. What's your response to that?
Listen, if there's anybody else who's alive and decides that they want to donate just so that you'll be on my FEC report, I am here for it. I will take your donation, especially since Jeffrey Epstein is now deceased. I don't think that it will be confusing whatsoever that it was not him, unless he's come back from the dead. So we'll see.
So you are, we're told, weighing a decision on whether to jump into this Texas Senate race, challenging Republican Senator John Cornyn for his seat, although it's unclear that Cornyn will survive a Republican primary. You said you had a meeting this week with pollsters to discuss your chances. Did you have that meeting? And if so, how did it go? Are you still thinking about running?
I am still thinking about running. We did get our polling back. So we are moving on to the next phase to determine whether or not this is would make sense in the moment, and if the infrastructure can be built out in the way that I see it being necessary to actually be able to win, as well as we are continuing to look at the polling on the other side. Listen, they are in a civil war right now on the Republican side as relates to who will become their nominee. John Cornyn has served the state of Texas for decades at this point in time in some capacity. And right now, I don't know if he's MAGA enough to make it through his primary, but we are evaluating all things and seeing what it would look like to put together a team, and we will make a final decision by Thanksgiving on whether or not we're going to ultimately move forward.
What did the polling information that you got back show? I mean, is it a calculation of whether or not you're going to be facing Cornyn, who might have more appeal to moderates in your state, centrists in your state, as opposed to a more MAGA candidate who...
So it seems like Jasmine Crockett is still in the business of running. I mentioned on a live stream or two ago that I actually didn't think that this would happen because based on the redistricting that's taking place in Texas, it doesn't look good for her, right? Like the numbers are changing. And on top of that, you had a gentleman that was out there going to neighborhoods and asking the people, neighborhoods specifically that donate to Jasmine Crockett and her campaign, if they were aware that they were actually donating to her. And some of them, if not most of them, were not. And the funny thing was that the gentleman made sure to go to predominantly white neighborhoods because that's where it seemed like a large amount of her donations were coming from. And in particular, he went to an older couple's house where the husband was a truck driver and away working, and he had receipts and everything, and he said to them, "Are you aware that you're making these large contributions to this representative by the name of Jasmine Crockett?" And the lady had no idea who that was, right? So that all got caught on camera. It went viral. I think he did it on his Facebook. And then on top of that, with the redistricting, it just doesn't seem like the numbers are going to be there. But she goes on to say that she's doing this because she feels like she obviously has a chance to win.
Potentially defeats Cornyn in the primary that you might, or any Democrat might, have a better chance against?
I'll tell you this, that head-to-head, we are doing really well against Paxton. I will say that. I will also tell you that we are actually within the margin of error as it relates to John Cornyn. So to be perfectly honest, the only reason that I'm continuing to consider whether or not I do this is because my polling says I can win. That is the bottom line. But at the end of the day, a poll is a poll. And so you need to actually be able to execute on that. So whether it's Cornyn or whether it's Paxton, we feel confident that we can get this done. The thing is, we obviously would prefer to have Paxton.
Thank you very much, Ty Cobb. And everyone's here with me now. I mean, Van, you get a ruling like this, and it's interesting, as Ty saying, they're going to appeal a ruling that was just whether she has the right to be there or not. They could just let the whole thing go and try to bring the case separately, right? Go on the merit, but that's not what they say they're going to do. Does this ruling, both of these cases being tossed, change Trump's political power right now?
Look, I think the fizz is starting to come out of the soda. The fizz is coming out of the soda. Donald Trump has had it. He's just starting to run into problem after problem. You had 7 million people come out and march against him, most in history. Brush that off. Then gets whooped in the election. I mean, just whooped. Anybody with an R next to their name gets chased, out of the ballot box.
All right, well, we know Van Jones isn't a huge fan of Trump. I just went to that clip really quick just based on the 2 cases of Comey and Letitia James being dismissed. He goes on to say all of that about President Trump and his presidency. And we know Van Jones isn't a huge fan, but nonetheless, here's the reason why. The Attorney General, whoever the attorney who President Trump, who his team had in place to put all of this stuff together to get the ball rolling on this case, turned out to not officially be in her post, turned out to not legally be in her post. So she cannot be used, right? She's actually not qualified at the time. I won't say qualified because she has the credentials, but she's not authorized. Let's say that at the time. She's not active. So right now, it looks like that's up in the air, and the cases just have been dismissed. So it is what it is at this point. We'll see if anything comes back, if the charges are refiled, which some people think that they will be. We have White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt say that they will be going back to go file charges, and I'm sure Pam Bondi is on the same page. So we'll just keep a look at that. We're going to go ahead and go to, let's see where we're at in clips, guys. Yep, one more left. And this one was the clip that I was probably most excited about today.
Why is Amazon paying me $63,000 a month? Well, I didn't make this kind of...
I wish this was a joke.
All right, shout out to Truth Be Told, covering Sean Ryan's podcast. Shout out to Sean Ryan. I love Sean Ryan's podcast. Huge fan of it. Been watching it for some time now. Truth Be Told covered an episode that Sean Ryan actually covered with a gentleman who knows a lot about Roblox. I'm not going to reveal who he is, but hence the title on the thumbnail. I wanted to save the best for last. You guys know the key phrase. Roblox just pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. Like, my wife was playing this for me last night because she knew it would be good content. I like Sean Ryan. And just what I heard was just extremely disturbing to me. And I mean, it was disturbing to Sean Ryan because I'm going to give you guys a disclaimer right now. He curses a lot in this video because he's just pissed off at what he's hearing and what he's learning, which rightfully so. So let's jump right into it.
I wish this was a joke, but it's not. Roblox, the largest children's game in the world, is literally banning people who catch predators, while predators are openly recruiting kids right on their platform. And it gets darker. There is an entire cult in Roblox and TikTok and Minecraft and Instagram using satanic symbols and grooming children and linking them directly to explicit content. And Roblox, at least on their platform, they know about it. You may think these games are harmless, but when in truth it can mean your child is only 2 clicks away from being groomed right in front of your nose. Hit that like button. Let's bring this to the light, to more people, and let me know what you think in the comments. Let's check it out. This is from the Sean Ryan podcast.
One of the most popular games that the 764 cult is luring their victims out.
Roblox, Minecraft, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat.
Okay, tell me about Roblox and my 764 cult.
Check it out. This is from the Sean Ryan podcast.
One of the most popular games that the 764 cult is luring their victims out.
Roblox, Minecraft, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat.
Okay, tell me about...
Okay, so all of those platforms that gentleman just named, notice he's talking about children that are being hunted, right? Children that are being looked for by people who are predators. So let's keep watching.
Roblox and Minecraft, because I don't know anything about gaming. I don't...
Understood. I don't either, but it's part of the investigation. You gotta, a lot of times I'm investigating, I end up on these games or apps, and Roblox is the one that I'll focus on the most because that seems like the majority of the issues right now.
I know little kids that use that game.
There's 75 million active daily users. So it's the largest children's game in the world right now.
I've been telling people too about what you've been telling me for at least 6 months now about 764 cult. None of
Yeah, most people just they throw their iPad at their kid, they put them on Roblox, and like I said earlier, little cartoon characters running around the screen, no harm in it. But something that most people like. Most people I see, like, you didn't seem to even know, but like they just banned a guy. There's like a young guy who was actually groomed and had issues for himself on Roblox. He has a popular YouTube channel. He started catching predators on Roblox, just regular old predators. They're interesting. One guy who was actually groomed and had like. Most people I see, like, you didn't seem to even know, but like they just banned a guy. There's like a young guy who was actually groomed and had issues for himself on Roblox. He has a popular YouTube channel. He started catching predators on Roblox, just regular old predators. They're interested in children, not these guys. And he got to my knowledge, there could be more. There were 6 arrests. I saw 6 mugshots. They came from this one guy. His name is Schlepp. And he went mainstream on the media because Roblox sent him a cease and desist letter for being a vigilante on their platform. They did a press release.
Okay, so what? Like, this is one of the things that I heard last night that I was literally like, okay, what am I listening to right now? So this guy was groomed himself. He had his own problems. He goes up. He actually gets to the point where he is able to catch people on Roblox that are looking for children. So he must have some sort of experience with this, right? Like, Lord forbid, bless his soul, it's probably from someone preying on him. And he gets to the point where he's able, at least the minimum this guy talks about is 6 arrests comes from his channel. And Roblox sends him a cease and desist and calls him a vigilante because he's catching pedophiles on their platform. I was like, okay, did I just actually hear that right? So you're mad at him and now you're calling him a derogatory name, a bad name, because he's actually catching pedophiles. So you want the pedophiles on Roblox, right? This is because why else would you send him a cease and desist letter unless you want them to be able to freely roam about on Roblox? This was troublesome, to say the least. It was troublesome.
Saying that they're banning vigilantes from Roblox. They did a whole statement. You should see this press release. It's unbelievable. That their excuse, all their excuses of why they think vigilantes should not be a part of Roblox. There are a ton of predators. It's a
publicly available.
Yeah,
We'll post that up right now too.
Which he doesn't actually post it during this episode, so I want to share it with you real quick so you can see what he's talking about. Right here. This is the article. More on our removal of vigilantes from Roblox. So we're sharing this about why it was necessary to remove vigilantes from Roblox and the ways in which we review and act on reports of abuse on Roblox. And, he's like, well, these vigilantes are well-intentioned, but we've banned them because what they're doing is unacceptable and create an unsafe environment for the users. There's even this article right here that I found talking about how Roblox sparks outrage because they're comparing the vigilante predator hunters to the actual predators. You want to talk about what's unsafe, it's these predators, these men that are getting on there, maybe women too, that are getting on there and exploiting our children for their own fantasies or even financial gain. I want to share with you that there was some years back when I was teaching. Fortunately, I had a student, a young man, who had sent pictures to some girl, some bad pictures to some girl of himself that he shouldn't have sent. And because the girl had already sent him some pictures, which, again, that's a whole other conversation. That's ridiculous. That's horrible. Tell your kids stop sending those kinds of things on the internet. Horrible. Like, obviously, this is going to cause you issues down the road. It happens all the time. But for whatever reason, these kids will do this, and then they learn the hard way of what happens. Well, in the case of my former student, this was not a young girl. This was some organization, probably like the 764 cult, who is actually taking these pictures of these kids and saying, hey, I got these nudes of you. Here's your Instagram account. Here's your Facebook account, whatever. I'm going to send these pictures of you to every one of them unless you give me $500. And they got $500 out of my student. But then once he did that, they wanted more. And so he came to me and I had to counsel him. And praise God that he got through it. But there are kids out there that have taken their own lives. A kid that has a good future ahead of him, someone's daughter, someone's son, that then kills himself because of this kind of activity that starts on children's.
And he's not lying about this. There's been kids that 10 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, heartbreaking things. I've covered some of them on live stream. Parents come on and talk about how, their children fell in love with this chat GPT bot or this AI bot, and then, the AI bot is saying weird things to them like, what if you could come home to me or do it right now? Like, just weird, stupid stuff. And it's like at the expense of children losing their lives. So he's not lying about this. This stuff is pretty dangerous stuff.
Game called Roblox. So there is massive danger in that, and that's why I'm making this video to help us see the truth so that we can be awake to what's really going on. Let's continue.
So this is the official statement from Roblox saying why vigilantes should be taking down pedophiles and sextortionists off of their platform. They want these people on there. They want these people on there to
That's essentially what it's doing to me.
your children, and your children are on here, and I'm telling you, you better get them off. You better get them off. It is going to happen to you.
Yes, these people, they're sitting predators, if you've noticed.
What parent keeps their kid on there after we're telling them?
Dude, that's crazy. They already edited it. They either because he cursed yesterday a lot more. Last night when we heard it, so they must have already changed something. But yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, like, just this, like, Sean Ryan's pissed about this. That's why he's like, you better get him off. Because, you know, if you're the parent thinking, oh, it's not going to happen to me, it's not going to happen to my kid. He's like, it's going to happen to you. You better get him off. He's saying that because Roblox wants them on there. Like, this guy is saying they took a guy who literally was able to assist in 6 arrests of pedophiles, and Roblox sent him a cease and desist letter. It's like, Roblox, what are we talking about? You want the pedophiles on there. That's the only reason why you would do something like this. So this is literally insane. I agree with Sean Ryan being upset about this.
I don't know, man.
What parent keeps their kid on there after we're telling them this?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But it's unbelievable to me. And it's predators hang out in spots where they can prey on victims. So when they're on Roblox, and it's the largest children's game in the world, obviously,
it's the largest children's game in the world?
Yeah, largest in the world. So when
largest children's game in the world doesn't want people on the platform saving kids.
That's exactly.
Listening to this, people, the largest video game platform in the world doesn't want to take any measures at all to save kids. In fact, they made a press release discouraging it.
Yes.
A cease and desist.
Cease and desist and a press release. Both.
If you're paying this platform money, there's millions of people that are going to listen to this, and I'm telling you, you are complicit in this.
And then there's other servers where they're blatantly wearing 764, shirts as.
I want to tell you about that 764 cult as well. It's dangerous. I'm going to let him finish here, and then we'll just talk about it. But realize that he's talking 75 million active users every single day. People, like parents, they think it's just a cartoon game, a cute little game where people walk around. But there's a billion chats going on every day, and some of those chats is exactly what these predators are doing to lure your child into a private server, even off Roblox, to extort them, to groom them for their own sick, twisted fantasies. Again, I hope you're paying attention.
Characters, they got upside down crosses, they got satanic symbols, they have people in the chat logs talking about grooming, they have all these things, but they're profiting directly off of this stuff.
They want this happening.
I guess.
They want this happening. Otherwise, they wouldn't be sending cease and desist letters to people who are trying to save kids.
Well, not all the time. Sometimes they lure them straight in.
He's showing them an example here of how they do it. I kept this little bit in there because that's what he's doing.
Like in a children's game that should be blocking all of this.
But they're not. They're not blocking much of any of it, actually. And I do know that when this story broke, there was some money lost on Roblox account, but it wasn't enough. But they did. I got an article here. Roblox CEO called on to resign after sending cease and desist letters to these YouTube vigilantes, trying to get them blocked, YouTube accounts being taken down because of these people that are trying to call out these pedophiles, these people that are grooming our kids. And so I was going to let you know about that. Roblox chief executive is facing a wave of fury after his company sent a cease and desist letter to a YouTuber known for exposing alleged child predators on the online gaming platform. And it goes in and talks about, I think this might be Schlep right here. And this article here says, modern day terrorism, how the online extremist network 764 is threatening teens' lives. This is the one I'm talking about that I believe was probably behind the one that sextorted my former student. You can see them inside Roblox with 764 in their name. Also, by the way, this is Minecraft, TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. But they'll do 764 in their name, on their shirts that they're wearing inside the game, upside down crosses, satanic imagery, all of that. You can look into this for yourself, but it's on there. Make sure you're paying attention to it because it's becoming a big deal. I mean, this article itself, I believe, is only like a few days old. People are finally awakening to it. If you see messages like join Com, or where the Com girls at, or join for fun, or dark roleplay games, this is in Roblox. Tell them, don't join it. I mean, just tell your kid to get off the game. Find a different game. I remember back in the day when I used to play Mario Brothers. I used to jump over blocks and squish little walking mushrooms and save the princess. But now you have these games that are like, it's social now. You're not just by yourself. So my advice, if you want to let your kid wants to play video games, do single player games. Don't let them be online. And if they are, make sure it's only with friends and people they know. Don't let them out there alone, because 1 Peter 5:8 clearly tells us that your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion seeking someone to devour. Satan is out there after our kids. Isaiah 5:20 says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil." There are people out there that have evil intentions, but to them it's good. And they're taking advantage of our children right under our noses, right there on their iPad, right there on some cell phone. And we think it's a gaming thing. We think it's all fun and games until something like this happens to your child. Man. I mean, I think I've said enough. I could tell you about how they had Charlie Kirk assassination games, where people would watch him get assassinated over and over and over again. I mean, they can make games about whatever they want, and Roblox doesn't do anything. So I'm going to be making sure that I talk to my kids about this. I already have. No more Roblox. We're not going to be on this game. So you can train your kids in the way they should go, according to righteousness, the way the Bible says. But parents, we're not sharing this to scare you, but because it is the reality of what's happening all around us. We need to know so we can be informed and allow our kids that safety that they deserve. Jesus says, "Woe to those who cause one of these little ones to sin, for it would be better to have a millstone tied around your neck and thrown into the sea." He wouldn't say that unless there are people in this world that want to cause danger to just our kids. It's sick, it's twisted, it's dark, but Jesus is shining his light. And so let this light come through this camera into your heart and share it with your kids. Let them be protected and help us be on guard against these sick, twisted people that are coming after our kids. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Hope this enlightened you, gave you some insight into something maybe you didn't know. Let me know what you think. Like I said, hit that like button, and we'll see you next time. Truth be told.
Hey, shout out to James from Truth Be Told. So I want to add to some of that just to give you guys some context to that. The term 764 refers to a dangerous, decentralized global online network of violent extremists and predators that the FBI and other international law enforcement agencies have classified as a terror threat. The network targets and exploits vulnerable individuals, particularly children and teenagers, through online gaming platforms and social media. The number 764 refers to a dangerous, decentralized, and global online network involved in child sexual exploitation, sextortation, glorification of violence, and acts of domestic terrorism. It is classified as a terror network by the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI. Key information about the 764 network. Origin of the name. The network's founder, Bradley Cadenhead, currently serving an 80-year prison sentence, lived in Stephenville, Texas, and named the group after the first three numbers of his area's zip code, 764. Well. Bradley, aren't you creative? Disgusting. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by for the live stream today. That was a lot. That Roblox is just, dude, my kids can't play on Roblox anyway, so I don't care. But I'm so sick of this type of stuff. Like, I'm just like, they're getting the largest children's game in the world. And like, they have a nerve to have a disgusting network and just be on there wearing shirts and doing like disturbing demonic just stuff that just makes me mad, pisses me off, for lack of better terms. I appreciate you guys stopping by for the live stream. We will be back later on today. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to everyone. Make sure you say I love you to your loved ones. Prepare to be around family you haven't seen recently. Mentally prepare yourself, because they themselves are probably going to be a trigger. But enjoy time with your family. Tell your loved ones you love them. Eat some good food. Happy Thanksgiving Eve to everybody. I will see you guys later on today. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Love yourselves. Love one another. Be peaceful. And tell somebody about Jesus today. Peace.